Okay. The April 21st, 2025 legislative session of the Anne Arundel County Council is called to order. Please ensure all phones and electronic devices are set to silent. Ms. Ledbetter will lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
I'd like to begin tonight just by asking for a brief moment of silence in remembrance of Pope Francis. Please pray in a manner consistent with your faith, as I pray in a manner consistent with mine. As my invocation tonight, I would like to quote Pope Francis. Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other, no matter how difficult it is. Life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you. The pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, please read the ethics statement.
The Ethics Commission has asked that I advise you that under certain circumstances, members of the public may qualify as lobbyists when they testify before the County Council. If so, the law requires that certain information be filed with the Ethics Commission. The chair of the Ethics Commission has asked that those who wish to testify in any form review the general information on lobbying sheet located on the Ethics website under Forms and Publications. If there are any questions about lobbying requirements, please contact the Ethics Commission at 410-222-4412.
Okay. Before we open our discussions and public hearings, I would like to remind everyone in attendance, whether testifying or as a member of the audience, that we must maintain decorum at all times within these chambers. Please understand that individual conversations in the audience are very disruptive to the proceedings, and I would kindly ask you to step out of the chambers if a side discussion is necessary. We will now open our invitation to the audience. This is an opportunity to speak briefly on any subject not included in the printed agenda. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Okay, we will now call on individuals who signed up ahead of the meeting. When I call your name, please come up to the table and have a seat. When it's your turn, state your name and address for the record. Remarks will be limited to 2 minutes. Please listen for the buzzer and respect the 2-minute time limit as others are signed up to speak. If you have more than 2 minutes to share, I'm going to ask you to submit your additional thoughts using our online testimony tool. We have 2 people who signed up ahead of time, Donald White and Jigna Patel. And if there's anyone else here who wishes to speak, please come up to the table and state your name, address, and topic before making your remarks. Remarks will be limited to 2 minutes. And again, this is the time to speak on items that are not on the printed agenda. Mr. White.
White, 741 Nabbs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21060.
If this is on an amendment or a bill that's that's on the agenda for later tonight, which I believe the Nabbs Creek is, we need to wait and speak then at that time.
Okay, I read your agenda in total. It was not listed. Maybe you listed it after I read it. I do not know. That's why I signed up for this time, because it was not listed. Yes.
Yes. It's the specific amendment is not listed, but under the region plan, it would be for, at that time. I know it gets confusing for what it would be. So, but just, we will call on you then.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Patel.
Hi, my name is Jigna Patel. I live in the Sun Valley neighborhood, Glen Burnie. I am here to talk about Nixon property and workforce housing. Last time I was here, Mr. Volke asked me a question, and I wasn't prepared for a Q&A, so I came with better answer, and you asked me what I thought we should do about workforce housing. I thought about it, And I know that we recently passed the Housing Attainability Act, which seems like is a very comprehensive housing bill. And so number one, that I thought, do we even need workforce housing, or have we incorporated that into Housing Attainability Act? So I don't know if we need to have both of those on the books, or if the new most recent act sort of includes that. The other option I know seems kind of aggressive, but remove R5 from workforce housing, because it gives developers way too much freedom, like too much latitude. And I think that if you're going to build high density in a R5, that should go through a standard rezoning process, like you have gone through, like with the bills that you're hearing currently. And then third option, if the first two options are not viable options, is to amend it with much stricter criteria for R5 zones. Because those are single family, like Nixon property, I think I've been here so many times, I've sort of demonstrated how it goes wrong. Nixon property development demonstrates workforce housing, like developer kind of taking advantage of it. And so I think that, maybe amend it if we even still need it on the books. If you're not willing to take R5 out of it, then amend it with much stricter criteria for development in an R5 community. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Patel. All right. The invitation to audience is now closed. Is there any item any council member would like to place on the agenda? May I have a motion that the partial reading of any bill, resolution, amendment to a bill or resolution, or minutes constitutes the reading of the whole?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Secretary, please read the minutes of the legislative session of April 7th and the closed meeting minutes of April 15th, 2025.
The County Council meeting was called to order by Chair Hummer at 7:01 p.m. It was opened with the invocation given by Ms. Radvi, and it was followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. The meeting was held in the County Council chambers in Annapolis, Maryland. Minutes for the closed session on April 15th. A closed meeting was held on April 15th, 2025, in accordance with Section 3305B7 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. Chair Hummer opened the meeting at 10:30 a.m. and was held in room 143 of the Arundel Center in Annapolis, Maryland.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the legislative session of April 7th and the closed meeting minutes of April 15th, 2025?
So moved. Allison Pickard.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes of the legislative session of April 7th and the closed meeting minutes of April 15th, 2025 stand approved as read. Madam Secretary, please read the titles of the bills to be introduced this evening.
Bill number 3125, an ordinance concerning public works, subdivision and development, zoning, conforming bill numbers 7224, 7524, and 8024. Bill number 3225, an ordinance concerning finance, taxation, and budget, special community benefits districts, shore erosion control districts, and waterways improvement districts, administrative charge, penalties for noncompliance, Maryland Homeowners Association Act, and Open Meetings Act compliance.
Madam Secretary, please read the titles of the resolutions to be introduced this evening.
Resolution number 1325, resolution designating May 10th, 2025 as National Pan-Hellenic Council Day in Anne Arundel County to recognize the contributions made to social change by members of the 9 Black sororities and fraternities known as the Divine Nine.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 1125 as amended and Bill number 1225 as amended.
Bill number 1125, an ordinance concerning General Development Plan Region 3 Plan. Bill number 1225, an ordinance concerning Comprehensive Zoning Region 3.
Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Lori Blair-Klossmeyer, our Deputy County Attorney, Christina Pompa, our Deputy Planning and Zoning Officer, Cindy Carrier, our Planning Administrator, and Patrick Hughes, our Senior Planner for Region 3. These two bills cover the adoption of the Region Plan and Comprehensive Rezoning for Region Planning Area Number 3, which covers the communities of Glen Burnie, Severn, and a portion of Millersville. I know there are several amendments to get to, so we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All right, we will now open the joint public hearing on Bill number 1125 and Bill number 1225. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
Yes, Madam Chair. We did not receive any pieces for 1125, but we received 19 pieces for Bill number 1225, which were added to the record, shared with the council, and posted to the website.
Okay, we will now call on individuals who signed up ahead of the meeting. When I call your name, please come up to the table and have a seat. When it's your turn, state your name and address for the record. Remarks will be limited to 2 minutes. Please listen for the buzzer and respect the 2-minute time limit as others are signed up to speak. If you have more than 2 minutes to share, I'm going to ask you to submit your additional thoughts as early as tomorrow using our online testimony tool. Donald White, Thomas Barber, and Katrina Brown. And if there's anyone else who wishes to speak on bills number 1125 or 1225, you may come up at this time as well. And Mr. White, now's your turn.
Okay, do I need to say my name again? Donald White, 741 Nabbs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21060. Good evening, council members. I rise today in opposition to rezoning of an 18.56-acre parcel of forest on Nabbs Creek Road. Currently, the parcel is zoned RLD, which allows for 1 house per 5 acres. The new zoning would allow 53 houses to be built. This change in zoning is not in keeping with the goals and policies laid out in Plan 2040, Goal NE1, NE2, NE3. Further, Plan 2040, Volume 2, page 58, shows that the area is a resource conservation area, meaning development should be limited to 1 house per 5 acres. Plan 2040's policies work together to shape a future that is green, smart, and equitable. The policies are green in that they protect habitats and watersheds. I have seen bald eagles, hawks, screech owls, vultures, turkeys, and many other birds. I've seen foxes, raccoons, possums, deer, snakes, toads, frogs, box turtles, and terrapins. The policies are smart in that they limit the development of forests. The policies are equitable in that they maintain tree cover in North County to mitigate poor air quality, poor water quality, and heat islands in the summer. This change in zoning from RLD to R2 will do exactly the opposite of the stated intent of Plan 2040. Allow this property to be developed in accordance with its present zoning of RLD. Vote against changing this zoning, which would cause harm to the environment and the people of North County. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. White. Sir, go right ahead.
Tom Barber, 743 Nabbs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21060. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Barber, and I'm a resident of Nabbs Creek Road. I'm here today to express my opposition in Bill 1225, which proposes rezoning the properties on Nabbs Creek from RLD to R2. Please let me be clear. I'm not against new housing in our community. Growth can bring positive changes, and I understand the need for more diverse housing options. However, the proposed rezoning to R2 represents an overdevelopment of this particular parcel. The shift from residential low density to residential medium density will allow a significantly higher number of housing units than the current zoning permits. This increase in density will inevitably strain our existing infrastructure, including our roads, schools, and essential services. We risk increased traffic congestion, overcrowded classrooms, and diminished quality of life that we currently enjoy. While I acknowledge the desire for development, I believe a more balanced approach is necessary. Therefore, I propose a compromise rezoning the property to R1, residential low density. This would allow for moderate increase in housing while remaining consistent with the character of our surrounding neighborhoods and mitigating the potential negative impacts of excessive density. R1 zoning offers a sensible middle ground, providing new housing opportunities without overwhelming our community's resources. It respects the existing fabric of our area while still allowing for responsible growth. I urge the council to consider this compromise. Let's work together and ensure that development in our community is thoughtful, sustainable, and benefits all residents. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Ms. Brown?
I'm actually Rachel Barber.
Oh, okay. I believe Ms. Katrina Brown is not here, so please go right ahead.
743 Nabbs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, 21060. Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to express my strong opposition to Bill 1225, which proposes the rezoning of Region 3. My family and I moved to Nabbs Creek Road in 2020. We chose our home because of the peace, quiet, and the deep connection to nature it offers. Our land is more than just our land, it's our sanctuary. A creek runs through our property, teeming with life. Frogs, turtles, crawfish, and the surrounding trees provide nesting ground for osprey, heron, and even bald eagles. Our home and the homes of these animals back directly up to the area being considered for rezoning. This proposal would impact us in countless ways. Most urgently, it brings a serious risk of pollution to our well water and threatens the destruction of critical wildlife habitats. We chose this location to raise our family in a safe, natural environment. This bill jeopardizes that. Currently, the zoning allows for one home per 5 acres. This bill would change that potentially, increasing density and dramatically altering the character of our neighborhood. Before any decision is made, I respectfully request that the county conduct a full environmental impact study. We also need thorough traffic and school district impact studies. These are not just formalities, they are essential to preserving the integrity and livability of our community. This rezoning is not in alignment with Maryland's Plan 2040. It threatens to displace not just families, but the fox, deer, raccoons, and groundhogs that call this land their home. I urge you to consider the long-term, far-reaching consequences of this decision. Please think beyond immediate development and consider what we all stand to lose. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. All right. The joint public hearing on Bill number 1125 and 1220. Oh, sorry. Come on up, Mr. Katz. Oh.
Go right ahead.
Filling up the table. Go ahead.
Good evening. David Katz, 2410 Evergreen Road, Gambles, Maryland. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the proposed zoning on Nabbs Creek Road from RLD to R2. There's a long history with this particular property. It's a historic subdivision that was subdivided in 1915, re-subdivided and replatted in 1963. The property was previously zoned R5 and downzoned during the 1988-89 comprehensive rezoning process because it didn't have public utilities. It was downzoned to accommodate the Tanyard Cove project, and effectively my client sitting next to me was stripped of their zoning and guaranteed that once the utilities and infrastructure were provided, that the rezoning would be restored. That is why we're here this evening, and that is the request, albeit we're asking that it be restored to half of the original rezoning. In R2, the property being rezoned to R2 will accommodate no more than 50 single-family market rate homes. Will meet the goals of the Housing Attainability Act. And again, I want to make it clear on the record that the objective here is to do no more than 50 market rate single-family homes. A project with this kind of zoning will not support a large-scale affordable housing project. It will not support a large-scale townhouse project. This again will be nothing more than the 50 single-family market rate homes, and want to make sure that the council is clear that that's the objective. For those reasons, again, we respectfully request that you support the proposed amendment.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Donna Fair. I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here today. We are the owners of the group of legally subdivided lots in the Locust Grove development. I grew up in Anne Arundel County. I went to school in Anne Arundel County, and my family and friends are in Anne Arundel County. We were a resident of this community for many years when we purchased this property. We love this community. It's a wonderful place to live. And we purchased this property as a long-term investment. It was a platted subdivision, R5, and we purchased it hoping to put our kids through college, as a long-term investment. Then we found out in 1988 that there's such a thing as a comprehensive rezoning that you guys do. So in 89, we were told that we no longer could have our R5 zoning, that we were going to be downzoned to RLD. So they took us from 5 houses to an acre to 1 house to 5 acres. Obviously, that was unsettling. We did fight it. We did go. We were in our early 20s. We weren't well represented, and we certainly didn't know what we were doing. But we did go, we petitioned, we spoke with Mr. Ahern. He was the councilman at the time. He was very gracious, and he basically said that because we couldn't utilize the utilities, which would have been able to utilize the zoning, they gave it to Tanyard Creek, I think, Tanyard Cove. But once that changed and the utilities would be available because it was a platted subdivision, that we would be able to get our zoning back. So here we are 38 years later, our kids are grown, but we would like the opportunity to compromise with the county and get an R2 zoning. I think that's consistent with the community. I think it'll keep the community nice. He also said that we were in the 7 to 10 year plan for utilities, which again,
Thank you.
That came and went.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Sir?
My name's Steve Fair. I'm the co-owner of the property my wife's speaking about. And basically just reiterate what she said. We've owned this property for 38 years. We've paid taxes to the tune of $150,000. The property is not marketable at all at this time. We can't even sell the property for the assessed value. And basically, we're just asking for half of the value of the original property that was stripped from us back, 30 years ago. And the utilities are there now. The property is able to be utilized in accordance with, the requirements for the development. So we're really just asking for half of what we were stripped of. And, we appreciate the opportunity to be here, and we respectfully request that you support the application. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
I'm Wayne Newton with Messick & Associates. I'm a consulting engineer who was assisting the Farrers here. When they came to me a number of years ago with this application and explained to me the story you just heard about how their zoning was stripped, the first thing I did was figure out why was it stripped. It went from R5 to RLD. RLD typically means there's environmental features on the site. So we did an environmental features analysis. There are none, nothing significant. I then started looking at why, and they explained to me what they just explained to you. In this area, you have a clay soil. There are numerous septic systems in the area on the existing developments. Those septic systems are marginal at best. They're mound systems. The Farrers will tell you, living at Nabbs Creek, they can see the gray water seeping out into Nabbs Creek from these septic systems. This project will, as you've heard, limit the number of houses. They're asking for half of what was previously provided to them by zoning. They're going to R2 instead of R5. It will extend public sewer to the area, which will allow other folks to connect. The developer, whoever builds this community, will foot that bill to extend those utilities. Not to say that folks who connect won't have to pay connection fees, but it will significantly improve the environmental quality of Nabbs Creek by eliminating those septic systems and allowing this property to be developed at half the density that was previously proposed. From that perspective, I think this project is a positive. I think the environment would benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newton. Mr. Hager?
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. It's great to see everyone here. Phil Hager of Hager Land Use. I'm also here to speak on CZR3 GBN 0709, the same amendment that everyone has been speaking of so far here tonight. If this pre-filed amendment is adopted, it is possible that some new level of development could occur. Often, a statement of this type triggers some level of negative thoughts in the minds of some people. That may be the case in this situation as well. However, this is a rather unique situation where most logical people will agree after analysis that the post-development situation is actually going to be better than the existing development condition. There are three factors that lead me to this conclusion. First is the environment. The previous speaker spoke about the existing septic system, the fact this area is peppered with failing systems and inadequately operating systems. Once this development serves to facilitate the extension of the wastewater treatment line, that problem will largely go away. We'll see a cleaner Nabbs Creek, cleaner Magathie River, and a cleaner Chesapeake Bay, because we will not have as much untreated or only partially treated effluent flowing into the waterways. Traffic is the second area. The county doesn't seem any longer to be in the road building business. Any improvements that need to be built to improve conveyance capacity or circulation of roads falls on the back of development projects. That would be the case in this situation as well. Any mitigation of roadway that might be required of this project will be performed as a result and as a direct consequence of this development. Finally, we talked about the fact that we're looking at less than 50 units. We're probably looking at 42 single-family development, single-family dwelling units. It's interesting to note that this is the type of dwelling unit that actually produces enough tax revenue to pay for its infrastructure consumption. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this.
Thank you, Mr. Hager. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on bills number 1125 or 1225? Okay. The joint public hearing on bill number 1125 and 1225 is now closed. Mr. Volke?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, I would make a motion to reconsider the vote on Amendment 7 to Bill 11-25 and Amendment 10 to Bill 12-25.
Okay. Second. Madam Secretary, do you want to add anything else, Mr. Volker? Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on the motion to reconsider the vote to Amendment number 7 to Bill number 1125.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion to reconsider the vote to Amendment 7 to Bill number 1125 has passed.
Okay. Now, would you like to say it?
Now I'll make the motion to reconsider the amendment number 10 to Bill 12-25.
Actually, we've got to consider this one first before we move on to 10. We have to.
We actually need to
we have
vote
to
on
vote
this.
on actually number 7. So, is there any discussion on this amendment, Mr. Administration? Do you have anything to add on this motion to reconsider?
Do you want me to just, I might be able to
Yes,
help.
please.
Well, excuse me, may I read in the amendment first
Sure.
so that everybody
Oh,
knows what we're referring
yes.
to? Thank
Yes.
you. Amendment number 7 to Bill number 1125. This amendment changes the planned land use for the property known as Parcel 28 on Tax Map 10, located at no number Marley Neck Boulevard, also known as Marley Road, Glen Burnie, from medium-density residential to low-medium-density residential.
Okay, so to try to clarify, at the last meeting, I put in an amendment to take this property back to its original zoning. There had been no request to zone this property at a higher density. It had gone through the Planning Advisory Board, it had gone through the Stakeholder Advisory Committee. Both of them had recommended that it go to a higher density. However, the property owner had not requested it. So as a result, I looked through it, it was what's called a consistency change, and I said, we're going to downzone that, and we're going to put it back to what it was. After doing that, I learned, and unfortunately this is where Office of Planning and Zoning has multiple divisions and they don't all speak to each other. There is actually an active development application that has been submitted for this property, and the reason that the property owner never put in for the request is because they had already gotten from the SAC and the PAB the zoning that they were looking for. So by downzoning them, it created a problem for a pending application. As a result, this reconsideration request will undo that to allow this to stand where the Stakeholder Advisory Committee, the Planning Advisory Board, the Office of Planning and Zoning all had recommended that this property be. So with that, that is the purpose of this amendment. And the reason that it's twofold is because there is both a change to the underlying land use and a change to the zoning that have to be reconsidered. Did I get that accurately? If you know.
Yes, you did. Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. Sorry, we had to catch up on this too.
Yes. So, there any other comments from councilmembers? Ms. Rodvian.
Thank you. Mr. Volke, could you just please clarify whether a yay or nay vote would achieve the goal of the property owner who expected to have a certain...
Vote no.
What's that?
Vote no.
Thank you.
We vote yes on the reconsider, and then we vote no on the amendment.
Right.
You already did the reconsider.
Right.
Just vote no on the amendment.
Right. So, okay. Ms. Pompa. You look like it.
No leaves it as it was.
No will take it back to the way that it was recommended by Planning and Zoning, SAC, PAB.
Okay. Any other comments from administration? Ms. Pompa?
We support the request to reconsider with no votes.
There we go. All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 7 to bill number 1125.
Ms. Fiedler.
Nay.
Ms. Rodvian.
Nay.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Nay.
Mr. Smith.
Nay.
Ms. Pickard.
Nay.
Mr. Volkey.
Nay.
And Ms. Hummer.
Nay.
0 in the affirmative, 7 in the negative. Amendment number 7 to bill 1125 has failed.
All right. There is a motion to reconsider the vote to amendment number 10 to bill number 1225. Is there a second? Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on the motion to reconsider the vote to amendment number 10 to bill number 1225.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion to reconsider the vote to amendment 10 to bill 1225 has passed.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 10 to bill number 1225.
Amendment number 10 to bill number 1225. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as parcel 28 on tax map 10, located at no number Marley Neck Boulevard, also known as Marley Road, Glen Burnie, from R10 residential to R5 residential.
Mr. Volkey, anything you want
Same
to add?
rationale as before.
Okay. Any discussion?
Vote no.
Administration?
Agreed. Vote no.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 10 to bill number 1225.
Ms. Fiedler.
Nay.
Ms. Rodvian.
Nay.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Nay.
Mr. Smith.
Nay.
Ms. Pickard.
Nay.
Mr. Volkey.
Nay.
And Ms. Hummer.
Nay.
0 in the affirmative, 7 in the negative. Amendment 10 to bill number 1225 has failed.
Okay. Now we will move forward to other amendments. There will be some back and forth between bills in order to keep amendments about the same properties together. Madam Secretary, for the upcoming amendments requiring signs for at least 10 days before this legislative session, were signs posted on the subject property and was notice of the proposed change of zoning posted to the County Council website?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. There are 2 amendments to bill number 1125 and 4 amendments to bill number 1225. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 10 to bill number 1125.
Amendment number 10 to Bill 1125. This amendment changes the planned land use for the property known as Parcel 39, lots 1 through 18 of Block 13, lots 1 through 36 of Block 14, lots 1 through 38, and lots 47 through 104 of Block 15, lots 1 through 120 of Block 16, lots 1 through 40 of Block 17, lots 1 through 30 on Block 18, and lots 1 through 5 of Block 19 on Tax Map 11, located in the subdivision of Locust Grove near Nabs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, from rural to low-density residential.
Okay. Mr. Volkey, this is your amendment.
Thank you. So the testimony this evening has largely centered on this bill around this particular property and the next amendment that will cover another portion of, if you look at the amendment number 10 to the attachment there, the map, what you'll notice is that in the middle of that property there is a little bit of, I don't know that it's a donut hole, but there's a portion that is not being rezoned. That is a separate amendment because that is a separate property owned by different people. So those are 2 amendments. This is the first of them. This is the 18 and a half, a little more acre parcel. So just to give the benefit of my thinking, I have heard from the community, I have heard from the property owners, I have considered all of the arguments on both sides about this piece of property. The biggest challenge that I've had with this is what I will refer to as the fairness of what happened in the 1980s, long before any of us were here. The representations that were made by the property owners about what happened with this property and how it was downzoned, I wanted to verify for myself. So I actually was able to ask our council staff to go back and pull the 1989 working documents, which they did. I was able to see in the 1989 working documents where this property had been zoned R5 and where it was downzoned to RLD. That was important for me because that independent verification helped me to understand, yes, in fact, the sort of story that I was hearing about how a property was taken from R5 density to RL density overnight, how it actually did happen. And that's deeply concerning to me. It's also not difficult for me to believe that there were representations made at the time that in another iteration of rezoning, the property owners could come back and say, hey, planned sewer is there. You can go ahead and now try to get your development potential back. But the issue that I have with it is the county effectively took a piece of property that had a certain economic value, an R5 economic value. The county downzoned it to RLD, taking almost the entire economic value out of that property in terms of what it was worth, and then said to the property owner, well, just deal with it. That's what you get. I have a problem with that from a property rights standpoint. I have a problem with that from a fairness standpoint. When people bought a piece of property and it was zoned one thing, and then the county took something away from them for no consideration, which is exactly what happened here. So as a result, when the property owner approached me and I was able to independently verify this, I then looked at what are the options that are available under R5, which is what they were seeking. I did not feel that R5 was appropriate, even though down the street, there are a lot of properties that are zoned R5. There are big stretches of that area, especially down by the water, that are zoned R5, but that just felt too dense. So as a compromise, I asked the property owner if they would consider R2. They indicated that they were open to R2, even though they didn't like it, because it is half of their previous, what they had when they bought the property in 1986. It is half of the potential for what they could do. With that, they posted the signs, they asked for R2, and I do think that that is a compromise position from them. This request for R5 went through the Stakeholder Advisory Committee. It also went through the Planning Advisory Board. My understanding is that neither of those entities reached a consensus on this property. That was the way it was represented to me, and I'm sure OPZ will correct me if I got that wrong. But I think that they debated whether or not to keep this at RLD or to move this to R5, and ultimately I don't think they could decide what to do. The county, through the Office of Planning and Zoning and the bill that's in front of us, has recommended that this property stay at the RLD density or zoning. I, for the reasons that I've described from a fairness standpoint, do not see that as an appropriate or fair way to resolve this situation for people who purchased a piece of property in 1986 with an R5 zoning, were then reduced to RLD, where they had effectively no ability to do the things they could have done when they bought the property, and are now coming in and asking to be restored to some of that value. So ultimately, I have agreed that I will move forward with this amendment. I will put it in at the R2 level. I have heard from a number of constituents who are concerned about the development. I am not going to try to convince people that, you know, the things that you heard about how this is going to make it better. It may, right? But I'm not going to convince you. I'm not going to convince anybody who's opposed that this is going to be better. No one who's opposed is going to believe me. So I'm not going to fight on that point. What I am going to say to you is that from a fundamental fairness standpoint, these people bought a piece of property at a certain level. The county took something away from them and gave them no money for it. And they have come back and asked that they be restored to that. To me, that is fairness, right? When the government takes something away from you and does not give you money for it, that is an unconstitutional taking. And so to me, that is where I'm looking at this and saying, I think that the fair result here is to restore some level of economic value to these folks who lost it 36 years ago. So with that, actually 37 years ago, almost 38. With that, I would ask for my colleagues' support on this amendment. Thank you. Motion to adopt.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Administration?
Patrick Hughes, Office of Planning and Zoning. Yeah, this change from rural to low density planned land use and the companion zoning request, which will be heard next, are exactly as Mr. Volke just described. The site is about 21.5 acres and currently undeveloped. As noted, the applicant had requested R5 early in the region planning process, and Office of Planning and Zoning did not support the request. And as you noted, the SAC did not come to a consensus. The Planning Advisory Board did, however, recommend RLD as well. We will note, however, the site is not within the critical area, and though there's no public sewer currently, it is in the planned sewer service area with a main that does run along Nabs Creek Road, and development would be required to connect if subdivided. So while we would prefer to see an increase in potential density of this scale more in the targeted growth area and not in the neighborhood preservation policy area, as you noted, the R2 is a compromise from the previously requested R5, and Office of Planning and Zoning does not object to either the planned land use or the zoning amendments.
Ms. Ravian.
Thank you. I just have a couple questions that I'm not sure who to direct them to, so if you know the answer, they might be, the sponsor might be Office of Planning and Zoning. So we heard from some of the folks testifying that the environmental conditions on the creek would improve because presumably they will connect to public water and sewer instead of having to use the septic fields that are currently exist there. But would that also, is there any reason to believe that that would also connect the existing homes to the, to a new sewer system that would be brought in? Or would that be at the decision and expense of the current homeowners?
Cindy Carrier, Office of Planning and Zoning. They would have the option to connect if and when there's septic systems failed. The county doesn't require that they connect at the time that the sewer pipes are brought in. However, if they are subject to a permit or if their system fails at that time, they would be required to connect.
So who would bear the cost of connecting?
The homeowner.
So I'm not sure that I understand the claim, and if someone can explain to me how, if there's no requirement, no one is paying for the current existing homeowners, okay, obviously if their septic systems fail, that's one thing. That could improve the environmental conditions. But aside from that circumstance, how would an additional, an additional amount of development in this area improve the environmental conditions of the creek?
So septic systems generally are known to produce more pollutant loadings than the public system.
Right, but if none of those are required to be replaced, so if the existing, it's not like they're going to go away. The people live there and they're using those septic systems. So if no one is, paying to connect them, I can't imagine there's a strong, some people will say, hey, we have an opportunity to make a major environmental upgrade, and it would be wonderful if people did that. But it's also a very expensive upgrade that I don't necessarily envision homeowners jumping on the bandwagon to take just because it's there. So you wouldn't get the environmental improvements unless you got homeowners to make this rather expensive investment. Is that fair?
Without an analysis of the area and whether or not some of these systems are failing currently or are how old they are, we know they don't last forever. We can't really answer that question, but yes, if unless we were requiring them to hook up, it wouldn't be an immediate.
But the systems are going to fail or not fail regardless of whether this additional sewer system, sewer service is coming through the neighborhood. So they're really two separate. They're really two separate issues. If folks have, do you see what I mean? That no one's going to, if they're in a position that they have to replace their septic system because it's failing, well, that by itself is going to be an environmental improvement that doesn't necessarily require that you have sewer service. So I kind of see that, I see those as two separate issues, trying to, conflate them as one thing that somehow bringing the sewer would somehow create an improved environmental, but that only if existing homeowners take up the opportunity that could be, very expensive for them to connect.
I would not hang my vote, if I were you, on whether this is going to improve the septic quality and drain fields and public water and sewer. That's why I didn't make any comments on that. I focused on fairness and zoning and what happened, because I heard that testimony too, but that's not what's moving me forward. I'll say that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that, that perspective. The other thing I want to ask is has there been any assessment for the fair market value of this land with in its current zoning as opposed to I guess the current zoning, well, the current zoning is RLD versus a fair market value assessment of what it would be with, I know that's, somewhat speculative, but we have lots of information about, presumably around the county, there are other brand new homes on R2 property that we could, get some comparisons of what the difference in the land value would be. Do we have anything like that, to sort of justify the claim that this is actually going to make a significant, loss in the value? I mean, I think intuitively you can see that it's some, but it's also, it's 30-something years that's passed, and I think people have, kind of taken the neighborhood as what it is. And I'm also strongly of the opinion you don't get to control everyone else's land. But at the same time, it doesn't sound like this is environmentally no features. I mean, if you have bald eagles there, how many places in the county do we have bald eagles living? So it sounds like there is some environmental, there is some environmental uniqueness to this area.
Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. You might be surprised how many places there are bald eagles in this county. On the issue of assessments, that's not something that we evaluate as part of comprehensive zoning. That was your original question, I believe.
That really was my original question, yeah. Ms. Fiedler.
This is not a question. I just appreciate the position of my colleague. I think this is a perfect example of why we have been so careful to change property owners' zoning when there is no involvement from the property owner, because we don't want to have a council in 10, 20 years trying to undo something that we have done. Shottown Road has a similar situation where residents had zoning at one point that was changed on them. And that is a zoning amendment I will never forget. So I appreciate the effort my colleagues trying to make here.
Are there any other questions or comments? All right. We had an motion to adopt, didn't we? We did. I'm like, I'm a little lost on there of where we are. Okay, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 10 to bill number 1125.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. Amendment 10 to bill number 1125 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 13 to bill number 1225.
Amendment number 13 to Bill 1225. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as Parcel 39, lots 1 through 18 of Block 13, lots 1 through 36 of Block 14, lots 1 through 38, and lots 47 through 104 of Block 15, lots 1 through 120 of Block 16, lots 1 through 40 of Block 17, lots 1 through 30 of Block 18, and lots 1 through 5 on Block 19 on Tax Map 11, located in the subdivision of Locust Grove near Nabbs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, from RLD residential low density to R2 residential.
Mr. Volkey.
Again, this is the companion to the amendment that we just passed. That was the land use amendment. This is the zoning amendment. With that, I would move the amendment. Same comments.
Okay, is there any discussion? Administration? Okay, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 13 to bill number 1225.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Nay.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. Amendment number 13 to bill number 1225 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 11 to bill number 1125.
Amendment number 11 to bill 1125. This amendment changes the planned land use for the property known as Parcel 39, lots 37 through 44 of Block 14, and lots 39 through 46 of Block 15 on Tax Map 11, located at 769 Nabbs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, from rural to low-density residential.
Mr. Volkey?
So again, this is the parcel that I indicated was the not really donut hole, but part of a contiguous section of land that abuts the property that was just rezoned to R2 density. This would take that property and also make this R2 density. Same comments as before. Move the amendment.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Ms. Fiedler?
Is that this section?
No, it's up higher.
Up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
same side of
that,
the road.
that
Right
little,
there.
that little bit that's
Got it.
cutting in.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, administration?
Patrick Hughes, Office of Planning and Zoning. Our comments are similar to before. Office of Planning and Zoning does not object.
All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 11 to bill number 1125.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Nay.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. Amendment number 11 to bill number 1125 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 14 to bill number 1225.
Amendment number 14 to Bill 1225. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as Parcel 39, lots 37 through 44 of Block 14, and lots 39 through 46 of Block 15 on Tax Map 11 located at 769 Nabbs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, from RLD Residential Low Density to R2 Residential.
Mr. Volkey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, this is the zoning amendment that corresponds to the land use amendment that was just passed. Move the amendment.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Administration? Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 14 to bill number 1225.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Nay.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. Amendment number 14 of bill number 1225 has been adopted.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 15 to bill number 1225.
Amendment number 15 to Bill 1225. This amendment changes a portion of the zoning of the property known as Parcel 154, Lot C on Tax Map 9, located at 25 8th Avenue Northwest, Glen Burnie, from OS Open Space to W2 Light Industrial.
All right, Ms. Pickard and Mr. Smith, this is your amendment. If either of you would like to make comments, Ms. Pickard?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment deals with the property at 25 8th Avenue Northwest, Glen Burnie. This property has portions in District 2 and District 1. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for co-sponsoring this amendment. This property is currently split zoned W2, OS, and C4. It was recommended as a consistency change during the PAB process to become all W2. However, the plan in the current legislation retains a split between W2 and OS. This amendment will take the entire property to W2 per the applicant's request. The development potential of the 8.6 acre parcel will be limited and protected by the floodplain regulations that will apply regardless of the zoning category. The property is also adjacent to W2, C4, and C3 properties in this immediate vicinity. I ask for my colleagues' support. Move the amendment.
Mr. Smith, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Concur with the lead sponsor on the amendment.
Okay. Administration?
As the councilwoman noted, this amendment would align the W2 with the full property, and OPZ supports the request.
Okay. Ms. Rodvian?
If it's appropriate time to ask questions, we haven't
Yes,
moved the amendment yet.
No, we have.
We did. Okay,
We did.
sorry. It's when we have so many, it's
I
easy
know.
to lose track.
It's easy to lose track. Yeah.
Okay, so the parcel that we're talking about rezoning is roughly 8 acres. Is that 8.1? Did I get that right? Okay.
8.6?
8.6, my apologies. What, do we know the size of the portion of that is, that would be not developable because of the floodplain?
Patrick Hughes, Office of Planning and Zoning. I know that it's just under 7 acres, 6.8 acres, that is currently in the OS zone. I'm not sure how that aligns, if that aligns precisely with the floodplain. It seems that a little bit less, perhaps, is within that. Yeah. Yeah, the current floodplain does not follow precisely within the open space zoning, but yeah, so I don't have a precise answer.
Would it be possible to even ballpark? Does it look like more than half is taken up by the floodplain?
It does look like more than half taken up by the floodplain, yes.
So fair to say the majority of the?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Pickard?
Oh.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion, comments? All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 15 to bill number 1225.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 15 to bill 1225 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 16 to bill number 1225.
Amendment number 16. This amendment changes a portion of the zoning of the property known as parcel 882 on tax map 16, located at 8450 Elverton Road, Millersville, from C1 local commercial to C3 general commercial.
Mr. Volkey, this is your amendment.
It is, thank you. This is the site of, when I was much younger, the Lucky's store, so people may remember it as that. With that, this property has sat underutilized for many years. It is, interestingly, in District 3. When we had first looked at this, I think everyone was under the assumption that it was either in District 5 or in District 2, but it happened to be in District 3. It's right at the intersection of all of them. Yes. So with that, this would take the property to C3 zoning and would hopefully give an opportunity for some sort of beneficial use here. With that, move the amendment.
Second.
All right. Was there any discussion? Administration?
Patrick Hughes, Office of Planning and Zoning. This is a change from OPZ's recommended C1 to C3, and Planning and Zoning does not object.
Okay. All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 16 to bill number 1225.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 16 to bill number 1225 has been adopted.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please read the titles of bill number 925 as amended and bill number 1025 as amended.
We will just note that the Region 3 bills will come back on May 5th.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a line. Yo, my agenda, my script is this tall. Bill number 1125 as amended and 1225 as amended will be heard again on May 5th, 2025. Now, Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 925 as amended and bill number 1025 as amended.
Bill number 925, an ordinance concerning General Development Plan Region 1 Plan, and bill number 1025, an ordinance concerning Comprehensive Zoning Region 1.
All right. Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Lori Blair Klossmeyer, our Deputy County Attorney, Christina Pump, our Deputy Planning and Zoning Officer, Cindy Carrier, our Planning Administrator, and Mark Wildong, our Senior Planner for Region 1. Bills number 925 and 1025 cover the adoption of the Region Plan and Comprehensive Rezoning for Region Planning Area Number 1, which covers the North County communities of Linthicum Heights, Brooklyn Park, Curtis Bay, Ferndale, as well as parts of Hanover and Severn. We're happy to answer any questions.
Okay. All right. Any questions, discussion at this time? All right. We will now open the joint public hearing on bill number 925 and bill number 1025. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
Yes, Madam Chair. We received 1 piece for bill number 925 and 28 pieces for bill number 1025, which have been shared with the council, added to the record, and posted to the website.
Okay. We will now call on individuals who signed up ahead of the meeting. When I call your name, please come up to the table and have a seat. When it's your turn, state your name and address for the record. Remarks will be limited to 2 minutes. Please listen to the buzzer and respect the 2-minute time limit as others are signed up to speak. If you have more than 2 minutes to share, I'm going to ask you to submit your additional thoughts as early as tomorrow using our online testimony tool. We have one person who signed up ahead of time, Michael Replogle. Doesn't seem to be here. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak on bills number 925 or 1025? Okay. Please come forward. Please come at the table and have a seat. When it's your turn, state your name and address for the record. Remarks will be limited to 2 minutes. Please listen for the buzzer and respect the 2-minute time limit. If you have more than 2 minutes to share, I'm going to ask you to submit your additional thoughts as early as tomorrow using our online testimony tool. Sir, you may begin.
Good evening, council members. My name is Trey Busick. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here regarding Bill 10-25 and the property that I own with my father located at 7048 Aviation Boulevard. Before I begin, I'd like to mention that I have several supporters that are in attendance tonight who are here to show support for the bill, but would prefer not to directly speak. Okay. Will those supporters please raise their hands?
All right. Okay.
About 9 or 10, just for the record. Yeah. We're excited about the potential of this property. With a proposed zoning change, we plan to expand our roofing and general construction business at 7048 Aviation Boulevard. This change is not only important for our company's future, but a positive step for the community as well. It will allow us to operate in a more suitable way, creating new jobs and better capable of serving the local residents and also other businesses in the community. We obtained this property in 2021, and when we first took ownership, it was completely run down and neglected. Since then, we have invested time, effort, and resources into cleaning up the property and improving the overall appearance and condition. We are committed to continuing these improvements to make the site an asset to the surrounding community. We respectfully ask for your support in the zoning change. We look forward to contributing to more success in Anne Arundel County. The current recommendation for the property is C1. However, we would ask to be reconsidered to zoning C4, as this designation would better fit our business operations and future growth plans while still being a positive addition to our surrounding community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Robert Busick. I'm the owner, along with Trey, of Best Pro Company, a local grown family and employee-owned contracting company located at 7048 Aviation. I'm here today to respectfully request your request to support zoning change from SB to C4. This change is vital to the continued growth of my business. As it stands, the current zoning limits my ability to expand operations and better serve the customers in Anne Arundel County. C4 zoning will allow us to scale our services, add new jobs, contribute even more to the local economy through increased tax revenue. We take a great deal of pride in being more than just a business. We're part of this community. I grew up here. I went to school here. My family's from here. My friends are from here. It's everything. Ferndale's everything to us, okay? We're locally grown, all right? With your approval, we'll be able to improve, We'll be able to improve our overall business, all right, and the look of Ferndale. I'm very conscientious of the look and keeping Ferndale clean and improved. I've been throughout that community, and I would like to say my neighbors are C4. They're at .67, the ski lodge right up the street. I have over 30 pieces of property right here that are C4 that are kind of relevant like mine. All right, exactly like mine. And I would love for you to be able to provide that to me so I can continue my business.
Thank you, Mr. Buse. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Council, thank you for your time. I've been immersed in this property for 15 years. I was the realtor broker that I've had a company in Linthicum for 44 years. I'm a residential broker of 47 years and 43 as a broker and 47 as a residential. I'm immersed in the county from Chamber, Rotary. I've even been appointed with county executive for land type committees through the years. I'm on, I just love Linthicum. I raised my family here. Obviously, it's been an eyesore, and I have followed it I have been involved in 3 comprehensive rezonings in this 3-mile radius. I provided the comparables as of last week for all the C4. I've been tracking it in my sleep. I eat, sleep, and drink real estate. I work far too much, and I love what I do. And it's a service to our community to better the 2040 plan that came out. I followed it, and it's always for the good of the order of the highest and best use. I also have been, not in this state, but before, with a property that I thought, I fought it because I thought this isn't fair, but it really was for the good of the order and the good use of the infrastructure that services BWI. I've been with BWI Partnership for 10 years. I did Airport Square when it was the beginning. I housed the Blight Rail in my office at BWI at the Linthicum Shopping Center. I'm fair to say I'm a household word there, and soon to retire, but I just love what I do, so it's not work. But I just truly believe, and my minutes are almost up, that this is warranted, and I understand and respect the other side, but the fairness of the bill, the 2040, takes precedence, and I've read a lot of material on it, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Carmen Hines, and
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you give your
Oh, yes,
name
Susan
and
Roscoe Thomas. I live at 624 Carrickle Court, Millersville, 21108, and I'm
That's it.
whatever else you need.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I'm Carmen Hines, and I reside at 5731 Belgrove Road. I want to express my concerns in opposition to Bill 1025. First, our community has mentioned at several meetings that Patapsco Park is not part of any of the communities that are listed, despite being established in the late 1800s. Despite inquiries to our elected officials recently, we've not been able to get a clear answer as to the location of the unnumbered Belgrove, St. Charles, Zeppelin, and the impact on the 800, 700 Hammonds Lane. We were advised that the sign on Belgrove Road, when we checked with our elected official, was placed incorrectly. We're concerned because Belgrove Road is our main thoroughfare in our community, and the traffic impact would be negatively impact our community. It has increased exponentially due to the Key Bridge being down, as well as environmental concerns for our area. We want to get some clarity on where the unnumbered Belgrove is on the odd side of the street or the even, and where it is specifically located. Several community members met with Mr. Smith and prepared a letter. It does not appear to me that this was included in the amendment. We had talked about R10, possibly going to R15, but now it's being changed to R22. And we have several community members that are in attendance that may want to speak and address this later. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Vicki Joyner, and I am at, I own the property at 5749 Belgrove Road. It is undeveloped. I have been in a struggle with this property since 2005. I took care of a friend of mine until she passed, and she left that property to me. We fought for probably 4 years to get the property zoned from open space to buildable. And to hear somebody talking about the possibility of it being zoned back to open space just sends me up to the moon. It's a beautiful property in that it's adjacent to the park. It was my retirement idea to put a small house there. There's so many setbacks in terms of what you can do there. And then, if anything goes to R22, knowing how they like to keep balance of greenland and big stuff, I could see it being zoned back to open space, which scares me. I don't know exactly how it will affect me. It says no name, no number there on the sign, but at least once a month I get a call from somebody saying they want to buy the property, so they know I own it. I don't know whether, I should put a mailbox there or what until I'm ready to do something. It has been perked. It has been, when you put the things on the ground, I can't think of the name, but it's been a few years. Just this Christmas, I got a thing to go around and beep, 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 and find them and start putting poles down, and then the sign goes up 2 days ago. So that's where I am. It's a little scary, and I don't know which way to go or what exactly is happening. And it's a lot of things that are unclear, more unclear than what is clear. And usually when that happens, the little guy loses. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you all. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on bills number 925 or 1025? Okay, come on up.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Here just to come to meet you. My last name is AR, first name is Gençay. I own a house 7050 Aviation Boulevard, like basically next to roofing company. And there was a story before that location. That location they want to make a Dunkin' Donuts, so neighbor was oppositing. But I see always the more business for area improving is very important. And if I have a chance, definitely I will put a business location there too.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So at this time, the joint public hearing on bills number 925 and 1025 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 925 and 1025 as amended.
Bill number 925, an ordinance concerning General Development Plan Region 1 Plan. Bill number 1025, an ordinance concerning Comprehensive Zoning Region 1.
Okay. Again, we're going to have some back and forth between bills in order to keep the amendments about the same property together. There are 13 amendments to bill number 925 and 12 amendments to bill number 1025. So buckle up, folks. Madam Secretary, for the upcoming amendments requiring signs for at least 10 days before this legislative session, were signs posted on the subject property and was notice of the proposed change of zoning posted to the County Council website?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 8 to bill number 1025.
Amendment number 8 to Bill 1025. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as Parcel 81, lots 49 through 55 on Tax Map 2, located at no number Wasena Circle, Brooklyn Park, from a split of R5 residential and OS open space to R5 residential.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
This past weekend, actually the past week, had a number of robust conversations with individuals that live in this clustered area. It is a unique location that I have been working with planning and zoning for probably a number of months on discussing it. In light of the conversations that I've had specifically with you're going to see an amendment coming here later on that speaks to this area. I will be withdrawing this amendment, number 8, from this discussion.
Okay. All right. Then we will move on. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 9 to bill number 1025.
Amendment number 9 to Bill 1025. This amendment changes the zoning of a portion of the property known as Parcel 208 on Tax Map 8, located at no number Shipley Avenue, Harmons, from OS open space to W2 light industrial.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
Yes. So this one is actually in discussion with the Belgrove Road project. I know we had a couple of members that spoke about this earlier. So all these amendments that you see with the Belgrove Road property in general, over the last couple of months, as we've been discussing with the property owner as well as with the community, last year, if you recall, we actually had a bill that we had floated with an agreement with the owners of that property. That bill did not actually, we didn't actually approve that bill because there were some internal conflicts with the leadership of the individuals that were party to the land. And so a few months have passed, and I know we have some of the members here from the current owners of that who are moving forward with a project, but these amendments are specifically in line with what we had discussed. And so the nature of the agreement that we had established last year, in my opinion, meets sort of the intent of what we were trying to accomplish, that 25% of the open space that we're going to still give to, or make sure Pumphrey's on that buffer part of it.
the park space and open park space that we're going to include in there as well. And so these amendments that you see for the land use are in line and in the spirit, at least from my understanding of the agreement last year, which is why I was okay with supporting this amendment, because it still met the letter of the intent that we had with the previous agreement that we had discussed last year. And so with that, motion to adopt.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All right, administration?
Mark Wildonger, Office of Planning and Zoning. Just to confirm, this is amendment number 9 for Bill 1025, correct?
Correct.
Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I speak about the wrong project? I just saw Bell Grove on the property list, on the list. Hold on, let me bring that up 1 second. 1 second, let me bring that specific amendment up. I was wondering why you guys had the confused faces. I was like, am I saying something incorrect here? You said bill number 9 on 1025, correct?
Correct. Amendment number 9 on Bill 1025, and this is the one, Shipley Avenue in Harmons.
Oh, so this is the W2 light industrial. Okay. Sorry about that. I think the notes that was in the spreadsheet had a different syntax to it. So, 1 second here. One second. All right. All right, so this amendment actually changes changes a portion of the open space to W2. If you look at the area right now, it's primarily utilizing that W2 light industrial manner. I didn't see any issue with this particular parcel because portions of it, the adjacency is W2, and so this is allowing that utilization of that W2 space to still continue. I know we discussed this with planning and zoning during our meeting here a few weeks ago, but if I said anything incorrect on that, it was in line with what the use of the property is. Okay. Motion to adopt. Still.
We got it. So, administration.
Mark Wildonger again, Office Planning and Zoning. This amendment changes the parcels with a split zoning of OS and W2 to entirely W2. OPZ offers no objection.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All right, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 9 to Bill 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 9 to Bill number 1025 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 10 to Bill number 1025.
Amendment number 10 to Bill number 1025. This amendment changes the zoning of a portion of the property known as Parcel 150 on Tax Map 3, located at 1326 Furnace Road, Linthicum, from W1 Industrial Park to W2 Light Industrial.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
This one I'm actually going to keep. This is the furnace area that's going from W1 to W2. Speaking with the owner and the community that surrounds that community, my intent is to allow them to go ahead and transition to the W2 space. This was in agreement with the community as well as planning and zoning, and so motion to adopt.
Second. Okay. Do you have any questions from the council, administration?
Mark Wildonger, Office Planning and Zoning. This amendment again changes the zoning on this 2.4 acre parcel from W1 to W2. Office Planning and Zoning offers no objection.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 10 to Bill number 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 10 to Bill number 1025 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read Amendment number 11 to Bill number 1025.
Amendment number 11 to Bill number 1025. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as Parcel 388 on Tax Map 4, located at 724 Andover Road, Linthicum, from R1 residential to R2 residential.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
And what number did you call again?
Number 11.
11. All right, this is a property after discussion with the homeowner association that's in that area, as well as planning and zoning. This should be a property that is off of Andover Road, going from R1 to R2. I know I see a couple of the landowners, or at least managers in the audience as well. And so, motion to adopt. Simple change from R1 to R2.
Second.
Okay. Any comments, discussion from my colleagues? Administration?
Mark Woolanger, Office of Planning and Zoning. Right, so this amendment changes the zoning from R1 to R2 because both R1 and R2 are compatible with low-density residential planned land use. No planned land use amendment is necessary. There is also R2 zoning immediately to the north of this property. Office of Planning and Zoning offers no objection.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Amendment number 11 to Bill number 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 11 to Bill number 1025 has been adopted.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Before you go to the next bill, I do want to, so I was looking at a list that had, it was, I guess it's 9, so it had the order of the amendment numbers on here with some notes in here about the property. So I assumed that the amendment number 8 was dealing with Linthicum Heights, but that's on 925, not 1025. So I withdrew 825 by accident, believing that that was the 8th amendment for, on the spreadsheet, at least, for the bill. So I would like to go back and actually, I still do want to move forward with amendment number 8.
Okay. So we have to unwithdraw that, or just we can just do it. Okay. All right. Then let's go back there, and Mr. Smith, you've got me out of order with my script, and now
I was going off of the spreadsheet. And I definitely this specific area right here impacts Pumphrey specifically. I've met with them probably a dozen times online here about their properties being split use between OS and R5. And on those Zoom calls that we've had, and a number of them are shaking their head north and south, they were in agreement to having their property to go from OS to it was split property. And so this would give them that utilization of their entire property as an R5 parcel. And they had all agreed to that in those meetings that we had. And so the intent, this was also a decision by Planning and Zoning had agreed to that as well. So motion to adopt.
May I please read in the amendment first?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
Please read in the amendment.
Amendment number 8. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as Parcel 81, lots 49 through 55 on Tax Map 2, located at no number Wasena Circle, Brooklyn Park, from a split of R5 residential and OS open space to R5 residential.
Okay. Now, Mr. Smith, you may make a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Administration?
Mark Woolanger, Office Planning and Zoning. Again, this amendment changes parcels with a split zoning of open space in R5 to entirely R5. Office Planning and Zoning offers no opposition.
All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Amendment number 8 to Bill number 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Radvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 8 to Bill number 1025 has been adopted.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please read Amendment number 3 to Bill number 925.
Amendment number 3 to Bill number 925. This amendment changes the planned land use for the property known as Parcel 121 on Tax Map 8, located at 7478 New Ridge Road, Hanover, from industrial to mixed use.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
So we look for spaces in the county that make ideal use for development. And this is one of those areas where the planned mixed use, it's industrial right now to mixed use urban is what it's essentially going to become. After speaking with the community as well as planning and zoning, it just made complete sense that this is one of those areas that I'm fully supportive of that type of development that will occur right there. And so this one isn't necessarily adjacent to large residential areas, which makes it even more ideal because you're not going to get that opposition from the organizations or HOAs or community members. And so after speaking with the planning and zoning team, this was the area that was recommended, and I wholeheartedly believe that that's the right location to do this type of activity. So motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Administration?
Mark Woolanger, Office of Planning and Zoning. This amendment changes the planned land use from industrial to mixed use to ensure consistency with a companion zoning amendment. Office of Planning and Zoning offers no objection.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 3 to bill number 925.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 3 to bill number 925 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 12 to bill number 1025.
Amendment number 12 to bill number 1025. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as parcel 121 on tax map 8, located at 7478 New Ridge Road, Hanover, from W1 Industrial Park to MXDU Urban Mixed Use.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
Same comments apply. Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Administration?
Mark Woolanger, Office of Planning and Zoning. This amendment changes the zoning from W1 to MXDU. Office of Planning and Zoning offers no objection.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 12 to bill number 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 12 to bill number 1025 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 4 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 4. Excuse me. I apologize. This amendment changes the planned land use from industrial to mixed use for the property located at 7280, 7150, 7100, 7221, and no numbers Corporate Center Drive, Hanover, and 2310, 2320, and 2330 Ridge Road, Harmons. Changes the planned land use from conservation to mixed use for the property located at 1118 Baltimore Washington Parkway, Harmons, and changes the development policy area overlay from no overlay to transit-oriented development overlay for the property known as lots 2R, part of 11, part of 12, 8B, 8A, and 13 of parcel 272 on tax map 3, located at 7280 and no numbers Corporate Center Drive, Hanover, and 2310, 2320, and 2330 Ridge Road, Harmons.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
Around this area right here, again, it's over there by, if you think about where the BWI car rental place is at, think of that sort of general area. This was an ideal place for that type of development. It's a motion to adopt.
Okay, is there any discussion? Administration?
Mark Woolanger, Office of Planning and Zoning. The amendment adds the transit-oriented development policy area overlay and changes the planned land use from industrial to mixed use for a portion of this Aerotropolis project. This is to ensure consistency between the planned land use and zoning on a companion zoning amendment. Given the property's proximity to the BWI Amtrak and MARC train station, Office of Planning and Zoning offers no objection.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 4 to bill number 925.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 4 to bill number 925 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read Amendment Number 13 to Bill Number 1025.
Amendment number 13. This amendment changes the zoning of certain properties located at 7280, 7150, 7100, 7221, and no numbers Corporate Center Drive, Hanover, and 2310, 2320, and 2330 Ridge Road, Harmons from W1 Industrial Park to MXDU Urban Mixed Use, and 1118 Baltimore Washington Parkway, Harmons from OS Open Space to MXDU Urban Mixed Use.
Mr. Smith.
Recently, as previously stated, this area is just primed for a mixed-use MXDU type development, and I just think it's a wonderful location. So, motion to adopt.
Okay. Any discussion? Administration?
Mark Woolager, Office Planning and Zoning. This amendment changes the zoning from W1 and W1/OS open space to mixed-use urban on 10 properties in the Aerotropolis project, totaling approximately 132 acres. It's a companion change to the previously adopted amendment. Office Planning and Zoning offers no objection.
All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Amendment Number 13 to Bill Number 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodbian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 13 to Bill number 1025 has been adopted. I'm sorry, do we have a motion to adopt in a second?
We did.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes,
what it,
Mr. Volkey was the second.
I knew you were for Amendment 4. I just missed it. I apologize. Thank you very much.
All right. Madam Secretary, please read Amendment Number 5 to Bill Number 925.
Amendment number 5 to Bill number 925. This amendment changes the planned land use for the property known as Parcel 292 on Tax Map 8, located at 1486 Dorsey Road, Hanover, from industrial to high-density residential.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
This is another effort to identify parcels within the sort of development corridors. It's the way I'd sort of term it. And this area is this location is another prime example. The property owner was also supportive of this. I thought the administration was supportive of it. And the goal is to build more or create more opportunities for this type of development. And this location is an ideal location. There are not any sort of large-scale HOAs in the vicinity of this. It's not too far from the Arundel Mills complex, sort of BWI Airport car rental place location. So that's the corridor that this has been focused on. Motion to adopt.
Okay. Any discussion? Ms. Pickard?
Yeah, I'm not fully, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not fully understanding where exactly this is. I just see that, you know, obviously we need industrial property, maybe not as much as we need high-density residential, but this would change an industrial parcel that is surrounded by industrial to basically multifamily.
Correct. So right across the street from that is a multifamily development that is down the street. There's a large warehouse to the south of it, but there is a companion development, Village at Dorsey Ridge, that is right directly across the street from it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Administration?
Mark Woolager, Office Planning and Zoning. This amendment changes the planned land use from industrial to high-density residential to ensure consistency with that companion zoning amendment. This is a small property, and there currently exist a mix of uses in the area, including multifamily on the south side of Dorsey Road. Office Planning and Zoning offers no objection.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Amendment Number 5 to Bill Number 925.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodbian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 5 to Bill number 925 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read Amendment Number 14 to Bill Number 1025.
Amendment number 14 to Bill number 1025. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as Parcel 292 on Tax Map 8, located at 1486 Dorsey Road, Hanover, from W1 Industrial Park to R22 Residential.
Mr. Smith?
That we just approved. This is the land that is directly across the street from the apartment complex. And so the landowner was looking to utilize something, to do something similar. It's creating additional space for housing, because that obviously is something that we're focused on as a county, and this will lend itself to that. So, motion to adopt.
Any discussion? Administration?
Mark Wooldonger, Office of Planning and Zoning. This amendment changes the zoning from W1 to R22. This is a small property. Again, there's mix of uses in the area, multifamily on the south side. Office of Planning and Zoning offers no objection.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 14 to bill number 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodbian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 14 to bill number 1025 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 6 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 6 to bill number 925. This amendment changes the planned land use for the property known as parcel 124 Lot A on tax map 3, located at 1109 Furnace Road, Linthicum Heights, from low density residential to industrial.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the this is the amendment I was intending to withdraw from discussion. So I will go ahead and withdraw this amendment.
Okay. All right. Amendment number 6 is withdrawn. Okay. Madam, and does that? Okay. Do you also intend to withdraw amendment number 15?
We just read it, just so to
That
follow that
is-
spreadsheet. Let me just make sure.
The companion piece to that one?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so we will withdraw both of those. All right. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 7 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 7 to bill number 925. This amendment changes the planned land use for the property known as parcel 8 Lot B on tax map 3, located at 1113 Furnace Road, Linthicum Heights, from low density residential to industrial.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the second of the 3 changes that I will withdraw for this area of
Okay.
the map.
So we're withdrawing that. Do you also
As
wish
well-
to withdraw amendment number 16? That is the companion to that?
Yes, withdraw
Okay.
amendment number 16.
All right. Okay. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 8 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 8 to bill number 925. This amendment changes the planned land use for the property known as lots A, B, and C of parcel 10, parcels 11 and 9, and lots D, E, and F of parcel 162 on tax map 3, located at 1117 and no number Furnace Road, and 1185 and 1201 River Road, Linthicum Heights, from low density residential to industrial.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, and this is I think the third and final one that's on Furnace Road or River Road that I will withdraw from this discussion.
Okay. Are you also withdrawing amendment number 17 to bill 1025?
Yes, that is correct. Amendment number
Okay.
17.
All right. Okay. All right. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 9 to bill 925.
Amendment number 9. This amendment changes the planned land use from low-medium density residential to industrial for portions of the property located at 800 Hammonds Lane, no number Zeppelin Avenue, and no number St. Charles Road, Baltimore, and from medium-density residential to high-density residential for the property located at no number Belgrove Road and 700 Hammonds Lane, and portions of the property located at 800 Hammonds Lane, Baltimore.
Mr. Smith?
And so this amendment, number 9, is the comments I made earlier in reference to the Belgrove Road project that has been in discussion for the last at least a year and a half, 2 years. Discussion at the table. So the goal is to, my intent was to make sure that the language that was in these amendments was agreed upon, met the intent of the agreement that we had established in the previous years with Belgrove and with Pumphrey specifically, so that none of their asks were not held to. And I think after having discussions with the landowner, I feel confident that those agreements will still be upheld. And I see the nodding of the landowners. And so my intent was to make sure that that was the biggest pieces that Pumphrey's was taken care of. And so with that, motion to adopt.
Okay, is there any discussion? Ms. Pickard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm somewhat familiar with the original plan unit development that was under negotiation with the county that would take this large reclamation site, and it was planned, in my understanding, to have 3 uses: residential development, some industrial development for an employment center, and then a proffer of a park.
Yes.
So with providing the landowner upzoning the R5 and R10 all the way to R22, there would be no need to proffer any park for the community. They would have by right, there would be no need to proffer any of the property for a park for the community.
So I disagree. I have confirmation from the folks who have been the owners of this property that that is still the plan to use that property and to offer up property for the recreational and park and open space. That is still the deal. You're hearing that here. You're seeing the confirmation in the back. Those 3 uses are still going to be utilized for this property.
I guess I don't know how that would come to be. If there was no planned unit development, they would just be allowed to build to R22 on part and build industrial. There's no guarantee that there would be any community park.
There's actually open space, and we talked about this actually with the staff and whether or not with the open space category, we could still put those parks in that location. Is that correct?
Administration.
So there is the amendment that has a split zone for open space on the northern section of one of those lots adjacent to the park. And open space would allow for park space, for park use.
Correct.
I guess my point is, when the original plan came forward and there was discussion about a planned unit development, there were agreements in place that provided proffers back to the community and the county.
That's correct.
This zoning amendment would now just provide the property owner by right the high-density residential without making any sort of commitment to the community for proffering of a park of that reclamation site.
I think I'm saying that they have offered that up to, no, I'm looking at the owners right there in the back who's representing the owners. No, it's here. That is part of the deal for my commitment to supporting this.
It's kind of.
I see them in the back. I've
I'm
worked with them for
sorry,
years.
we can't have discussion back and forth with the audience, but with the public, but.
This is a upzoning, though, of a property fully to high-density residential.
Correct.
So without any, they would, after this goes into effect, they would have the zoning they need to put in high-density residential to the tune of 22 units per acre without any conversation about a planned unit development.
We've had those conversations.
It would be by right, they would have it. They could just do it. They could sell the property tomorrow, and a new owner would have the full high-density residential zoning to do just that, by right. They wouldn't have to come to the county and make any sort of commitment to do anything. They would have, for however many acres that is, they would have.
What does the administration think of this amendment?
So again, these are the Belgrove properties. There were questions before about which properties. There are some landlocked, unnumbered properties within this amendment. The amendment is to change the planned land use from low to medium density residential and medium density residential to industrial and high density residential to ensure consistency with the companion zoning amendment. The site was recently subject to a circuit court decision that granted the property owner the zoning that was recommended when the Region 1 bills were introduced to County Council. The applicant is now requesting a late change to the planned land use and zoning that would significantly intensify the uses from what had recently been granted through the circuit court decision. During the Region 1 planning process, the local community expressed concerns about future development on the site and how it may adversely impact their property value and quality of life. Office Planning and Zoning does not support the amendment.
So
that's new. I know. That was a different conversation from when we last spoke. So what made them change since then?
Mr. Smith, Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. I don't think we had indicated whether we supported this or not.
Sure.
I mean, it's a very big piece of property. The change in zoning that is being looked at the very end of the process is fairly significant. A change from R10 to R22 and then pushing the W2 further north into the property. And you know, because there had been opposition early on from the community, we expected the community to continue to not be supportive. I mean, we put in, at the time the bill was submitted to the county council through the administration, what the circuit court decision had been. We thought we essentially needed to do that, but this is a different story at this point.
Check. So what we'll do is I'll withdraw the amendment. Let's withdraw it. We'll come back with the same sort of planned use agreement that we tried to call for up last year. I still agree or differ than your opinion on, because if I recall, I don't know if we can have some of the folks in the back come up and testify that. But if the administration, because this is new, because the last time I had spoke, I think I had asked if there was any issues with this. I don't think there was any concerns on that conference call when we last spoke on this. I don't think I recall any.
So, Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. So at that time, the last call we had, Mark Wildonger was on leave, leaving it to Cindy and I. So I'm sorry if we gave you the wrong impression on that.
Check.
I mean, we hadn't had a lot of time to look at this.
Got it. Okay.
And, you know, the first meeting that we had, just to give you some flavor, the first meeting that we had in Region 1, which was the Planning Advisory Board, there was a lot of discussion about this property, and I mean, I think we're basing our recommendation still on that. And some of the things that happened in that meeting, I hear happening tonight. So the people are here.
Mm-hmm.
I think they maybe all didn't testify tonight.
So we'll withdraw this amendment. That's fine.
I think, withdraw the second.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. All right. So amendment number 9 is withdrawn. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 18 to bill number 1025.
That is the corresponding amendment. Mr. Smith, did you want to withdraw that one as
Go ahead
also?
and withdraw it.
Okay, we also withdraw amendment number 18. Okay. All right. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 10 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 10 to Bill number 925. This amendment changes the planned land use for a portion of the property known as parcel 181 on tax map 9, located at the track area between I-97 and Dorsey Road, Linthicum Heights, from mixed use to conservation to mixed use and conservation to transit.
Ms. Pickard, this is your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment deals with a property currently owned by the state of Maryland and houses the Cromwell Light Rail Station, 7390 Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard. This parcel borders Districts 1 and 2, and my understanding is the county executive is actively working with the state of Maryland to get a state TOD, transit-oriented development designation for this transit area. I see this as a great opportunity for mixed use. I strongly support adding this parcel to the mixed use U zone to support the efforts of pursuing the state TOD designation. Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Smith?
I do have discussion. What can you explain, and maybe the Office of Law, and we're going to get to amendment number 15. I have an amendment 15 that does something similar, but the verbiage is different, and I'm confused on why the Office of Law earlier said I needed to put mixed use, and this amendment is adding transit. If you look at amendment 15, and then look at what was that 10? Which one you just had?
This is amendment 10, and
Correct.
it's taking, this amendment takes the state-owned parcel, which sort of creates the whole of the donut surrounding parcels that are being rezoned to mixed-use U, and takes it from industrial to mixed-use U to make the whole area consistent in one zoning category. We have numerous places, whether it's in Plan 2040 or the state having it as a priority area for transit-oriented development. There's lots of places where indicating that the state is prepared to actually begin a process, which is exciting, to take those vacant, underutilized parking lots of impervious surface at the end of the light rail and create true transit-oriented development. This is the kind of place where you could actually live and not potentially need a vehicle. You could actually leave your dwelling, get on the train, and get yourself to work. And then across the street, the Cromwell Plaza is being rezoned to mixed-use U. It's all within I-97, Maryland 648, and Dorsey Road, Maryland 176. There's a whole triangle of parcels where this kind of zoning is absolutely picture perfect for transit-oriented development. And the fact that the state is ready to come to the table and do, a public-private partnership for this kind of opportunity is exciting. It's an exciting opportunity for Anne Arundel County. It's an exciting opportunity for the region, for the employees that live around the airport and the surrounding area, and then everything from shopping to retail, employment, and housing. It makes sense.
So to answer my question, I don't know if you got a chance to do that. Is this policy? There's a bold line within 10 or whatever this amendment is. What is this? Amendment number 10. Is it establishing that policy area within that bolded block? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So if you look at the amendment,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
there's a bolded line there. Is that the corridor that she's making transit, or is it the transit portion of the parking lot that's there?
Those are the train tracks.
Actually, Office of Law.
Right, so if I'm reading this map correctly, this big gray area down here, you guys from OPZ can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's already transit, the big gray area.
Mark Williger, Office Planning and Zoning. The bolded area is the area that would be changing, and that
Yes.
is just the track area. It was previously interpreted as right-of-way, but recognizing that it is private property, well, it's MTA property, this would just ensure the continuity of that transit plan land use along the rest of their track area to the north.
So it's just that corridor within the bolded box, correct?
It includes the track area, and then it extends to the center line of the road as policy for the entire comprehensive zoning and plan land use.
Understand.
So correct, this is the planned land use. The next amendment that is the companion is the mixed use U for the entire state parcel.
Correct. This is Amendment 10 for
Yeah, okay.
just the planned land use for transit.
Right. So going back to my previous question, I have a subsequent amendment coming up, and I'm just trying to figure out how they would impact each other because they're impacting the same-ish region. So I don't know if there's a way to.
Are you talking about amendment number 15 to
Yes.
Bill 925? So that one is the one that is actually changing the zoning, whereas, I gotta
No.
get these numbers right.
No?
No, am I backwards?
Because mine also has that same corridor, the same track layer in there. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you. I actually have, for the record, I've been sort of in this area for a number of months, working on this particular issue, and I've worked with the community on a number of different fronts. I'll bring up some. When it comes to the amendments that I think Ms. Pickard is pushing forward, I have some amendments that are actually doing that as well. And so I just know for the last 3 months, I have worked really hard with community members in my district, the planning zoning staff, individual property rights owner. The goal has always been to do what is best for those who are in that area. Ferndale, this piece of land that we're focused on right now is 100% within District 1. And so I've been meeting with every single person and community within that area, Ferndale, some of the North Lithicum. I have not tonight, and I'm not perfect. You've seen tonight if there's some confusion on how bills are impacted and whether or not people agree. I'm always willing to sort of compromise, and I'll even step back when I need to step back, and I'll move forward when I need to move forward. This administration it has always prided itself on being transparent and communicating with all stakeholders, and it has been my absolute mission to do that. And so for the first area impact is, as I mentioned previously, I've spoke to Ferndale and other community associations in the area, and the planning and zoning use bill that we voting on right now, 925, it has the necessary language on page 59. I know you all can't see that, but I'm putting this on the record because I want people to go back and be able to sort of articulate and follow this. And so to ensure the mixed use builds, because this is all about providing opportunity, I want opportunities at that Cromwell light rail station to take place. Right now it is a parking pad, and I want the community involved. This amendment and the corresponding amendment that is coming changes that designation right now. I am not saying I don't want it to be an MXD something here down the road within the next few months, but the opportunity and the way to do that exists with the current legal framework that we have, and you'll see a couple of amendments that I will introduce that adds that. And so this bill sort of allows the state, and I'll sort of call it out, to sort of at the last minute to introduce this change in an area that I have always wanted you all to be involved with. Just as easy as I withdrew that amendment because some of you all may felt like you weren't involved, this bill, I am 100% certain that there are organizations and groups and HOAs that have not been involved in this discussion for this particular area. And so my amendment, it simply aligns the plan so that at some point here in the very near future, we can actually go back with a bill that we passed previously, and that was Bill 7524, that will allow the administration a process to be able to change this to another mixed MXD layer at some point in the future after we have had that discussion with the community. And so I know that you're going to see these amendments, but I'm going to ask my colleagues to stand with me on this. I am not supportive of this amendment because I have some that are coming in to address this issue, and there are opportunities for the county to change this going forward within the next year, certainly within the next year. And so I'm asking that space so that we can actually sit down with our HOAs that's over there and other organizations who want to be at the table when it comes to this so that we can change this. And so with that, I will not be supporting this amendment.
Ms. Pickard.
Madam Chair, my apologies. I jumped the gun a little bit on the rezoning of the state parcel to mixed use U. This amendment was really brought to the table from OPZ wanting to change the actual track of the light rail to transit. So I'm not sure why there would be any opposition to changing the track to a transit designation.
I think we're getting some things conflated between these two amendments. This amendment, amendment number 10, is solely for the track to be changed to transit.
Correct?
So it's not changing it.
So would there be a reason to oppose that, since that's what it is?
That's administration.
Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. Not necessarily, but we do know that Mr. Smith has another amendment coming, which I think changes this area to mixed-use planned land use.
Changes the train track portion?
It changes the track area, the train station parking area, as well as another smaller MTA property to the south of the parking lot and
So why why did I introduce this? I mean, y'all asked me to, so I did it.
I think if the sponsor, if I may, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wish the sponsor would have communicated more effectively when it came to these changes. I would have sort of illustrated some of these changes. That did not happen. And that's probably why there's confusion. I have been working in this district and on these amendments for quite some time. And so just as there have been individuals that have asked for changes in your district, all I've ever asked was to treat me the same way that I've treated you. That's simply what this is about.
I appreciate that, Mr. Smith. I did communicate the reasons for amendment number 19 or 18 that's coming up next about the state asking to have their property rezoned from industrial to mixed use. I told you, I articulated very clearly the reasons why I was picking up the amendment. You don't have to agree with it, but it was communicated to you in writing twice. So let's be clear about it. There's no reason to argue about this.
I'm not arguing.
If we all want, if we're all, let's handle Amendment 10. So if OPZ is saying we don't really need Amendment 10, we can change it to mixed use in a subsequent amendment. I was doing what was requested and putting an amendment to change these train tracks to transit.
Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. Just to be clear, when you go back to Plan 2040 and you look at the table that is the crosswalk between planned land use and zoning, the appropriate planned land use in our mind for this area is transit.
The area in amendment number 10.
Correct.
The train tracks.
Correct. But we did work on a subsequent amendment after this one that was a request to change to mixed use. That could also be appropriate. But when we first started to work on your amendment that you asked us for, we felt that the correct planned land use for this area owned by Maryland Transit Administration was transit.
Okay.
Does mixed use, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Does mixed use allow that same capacity and capability for the state, that designation? Does it still allow them to accomplish the same things?
Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. I'm going out on a limb a little bit here because, as you know, Ms. Miller from the Office of Planning and Zoning handles amendments with you that are not related to long-range planning items. So I am not as familiar with 7524 and 1825 as she is. But my understanding is that if you would want the property to have a planned land use of mixed use, it can potentially take advantage of some of the opportunities in 7524 and then 1825, meaning having to go to the administrative hearing officer for piecemeal rezoning rather than waiting for the next comprehensive zoning cycle.
Madam Chair?
That's my understanding.
I know. Ms. Pickard.
So I appreciate that, but when we passed those bills, we were looking retroactively to bills that didn't have, to properties that and region planning that didn't have the opportunity to go through comprehensive rezoning and apply the new modern mixed-use categories. We do have that opportunity because now we're in regions 1 and 3 where we've had the benefit of the modern mixed-use categories, and seems more appropriate to go through a comprehensive process than ask an administrative law judge to make a change in a piecemeal situation, when we're here to have the public conversation about how to take properties through the proper comprehensive rezoning. We're doing it now. So there's no reason to rely on that process that was for region plans that did not have the benefit of the new mixed-use categories.
It is very possible that I read 1825 incorrectly.
It's okay. But this amendment is about transit planned land use for train tracks. So we can vote on it. It seems it'll be what it'll be.
So I'm trying to understand this now. I'm getting a little confused on this. Jumping ahead to the other proposed amendment that I know we're not discussing yet, but if we look at that, what is the difference between 19 that is changing it to MXDU and 15 that would just be, is proposing to mixed use? Okay.
Madam Chair, it's really comparing Amendment 10 to
Okay.
Amendment 15.
Okay.
That are both planned land use amendments.
All right.
And Amendment 10 just takes the rest of the track area, which is currently has a split plan land use of conservation, mixed use, and transit, takes it all to transit.
Right.
Because we interpret track area as a transit use. So
Okay.
it fits that definition.
And so 15 would just change it to mixed use.
Amendment 15 would take the track area, the station area and parking lot, and one additional property to a planned land use and mixed use.
Okay.
Which means the entire area would be in stripes if you go and look at Amendment 15.
From a planned land use
Planned land use,
perspective,
correct.
but not a zoning perspective.
Correct.
But from a planned land use. So is there a benefit to to the track being planned use transit as opposed to being included in the planned use mixed use?
We already stated that our initial analysis was that transit was appropriate when we were working on the amendments requested by Ms. Pickard. Generally, the council members come to the Office of Planning and Zoning asking for the zoning amendments, and we match up the planned land use. And we did, and Cindy, Ms. Carrier, I don't know if you have anything to add here, but I feel that we did hear what we would have done in any other similar situation.
Yes, Cindy Carrier, Office of Planning and Zoning. Ms. Pompa is correct. That's generally what we try to match up, planned land use and zoning. In this case, either planned land use would be consistent with mixed-use zoning.
Okay.
It was requested, the transit plan land use goes back to Plan 2040 at the request of the Office of Transportation, requesting that all properties that have an existing transit use be placed in transit plan land use for easy identification.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, there's other lights on. I didn't see who was first. Ms. Rodvian, we'll just go down the row. Okay. Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe after we vote on amendment number 10, are we then going to amendment number 19?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want, for summary's sake, amendment number 10 changes the land use of this small sliver. Then we're going to have another amendment that changes the entire zoning. Right.
No, the entire, that amendment you just held up is just the land use.
This one, it says CZ, which is.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
amendment-
Sorry. Yep, it's going to
Amendment
change the
19.
zoning
Zoning.
to mixed use.
Okay, then fast forward to Amendment 15, Mr. Smith's. He is proposing to just change the underlying land use, including the sliver that is the railroad, and to down the road, reconsider the zoning based on the conversations that he's had with the community. Is that a good summary? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Pickard.
Well, okay, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. I'm concerned that without really understanding the factual interpretation of previous bills, we could end up with a hole in our zoning around this property, relying on misinterpretation of previous bills that would allow a property to be rezoned administratively that isn't actually going to be allowed to be rezoned administratively. That's my concern. And we are here now with the opportunity to partner with the state to create transit-oriented development in a very underinvested part of our county. So I'm just, this unfortunately got a little, has gotten a little messy, but I don't think, I'm concerned that if we don't go all the way through and change the planned land use as along with the zoning, we're going to end up with a problem. But
Mr. Smith.
Right now, we just need to vote on amendment
Right.
number 10.
Mr. Smith, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When we look at this, the area all around this is currently MXDU.
Correct.
So what would be the opposition to having this piece that's kind of right in the middle of all MXDU to make that also MXDU?
I am so glad you asked that question. That's a great question. Those properties that are surrounding it are commercial properties that already have warehouses. They, in fact, one of the warehouses, the owner is RNJY Incorporated. They just put several $100,000 into solar arrays on their roof. So everything that's north of that on the same side of the street is about 3 or 4 different warehouses. You have BWI Indoor Boat and RV Storage. You have Ryder Truck Rental, one of the largest locations in the state as far as their Ryder trucks are at the facility. There's nothing going to be built because it's already built. And then across the street at the mall area, you just had what was the Giant store that is now AutoZone. For those that are up there, they can confirm they just signed a 15-year lease. That whole strip on the other side, yes, there's some parking pad space in between the stores. The blood store that's over there, the plasma store, another. They just signed a 10-year lease here a year ago. None of that is going to be redeveloped over the next 10 or 15 years. Zero of it. The parking space where, and that's why I wasn't as concerned, because there's going to be some time before that's impacted over there in that area because it's already developed. The parking pad at the Cromwell station right now that's being proposed to be changed to MX. It's not that I have an issue with MXDU necessarily. I just don't necessarily think that should be an MXDU. It should be something probably an MXD S or T, whichever the one to the left is, something. But we haven't had the discussion with the community at all because this came at the last minute, and I've always felt like that's one of the ways that communities get upset at us because we vote on these things behind closed door and at the last minute, and you all never get to know what's going on with it. So if we change it to MXDU today, there is no discussion about it being T or S or anything like that. So what I've done was adjust the plan, the land use plan, because when we voted on the bill 7524, we said in that bill, and I will read it verbatim, a lot that is not designated a mixed-use planned land use in the general development plan or a region plan may not be administratively rezoned to a mixed-use district if the general development plan or region plan recommends a sector plan or study for a lot designated as a mixed-use plan land use. The lot may not be administratively rezoned to a mixed-use district unless the sector plan or study is completed and recommends a zoning. That's for the ones that have a sector plan. But what that has said is if it's in the plan, then the landowner at some point can go to the administrative zoning officer and request to have it changed, because we plan, and I'm letting you all know publicly, it is our legislative intent to have that rezoned to something else. So this is now for the record. But so my amendment, two of them, or one of them, one just changes the plan land use so that it aligns with what's already in the plan itself. It just changed the map because the verbiage in there is already confirmed. If you look at the bill number 925, the plan itself, the language in there for Cromwell Station, it says, Plan 2040 identified the site as a potential location for transit-oriented development policy area overlay, and mixed-use plan land use. OPZ and the SAC agrees to maintain the Plan 24 DPAO, the policy area, in the PLU, and recommend implementing a mixed-use transit T zoning, which was the old version's zoning district, to facilitate the intended use and vision for the area. With that adoption of Bill 7524, which occurred after the SAC's discussion and recommendation, the MXT zoning district will now be MXDU. They're saying in the plan, which we haven't adopted yet because we're voting on it tonight, I am okay with us keeping that as a MXD something. What I'm asking my council, my colleagues to do is say, hey, he in the community haven't really had the discussion about whether or not it should be you or some other variation of MXD. And so I'm asking them to trust me on this, that I've sat down with Ferndale and other groups that are in that area that are directly impacted by it, saying it will develop, it will transition to an MX, some version of that. And there's a window where we don't have to wait 10 years. So there's a pathway forward to make this happen. I know my colleague just said that there's question about it. We voted on it. It's in the plan. And 7524 states that as long as it's in the plan, what I cleared up with my amendment with 15 is if you look at the plan, the map that's on page 54 and the language that's on page 59 are different. The map doesn't have the stripes indicating that it is a MX something, MXD something. The language is there, but the map is different. All I'm doing is making sure the map matches the language so that there's no question that legislative intent, when the landowner at a future date tries to change this to MXD something, it's there. We're not going to wait years to make this happen. I want this to be developed, but I want it to be done following the process so that I can get involved with the community who has reached out to me at the last minute and say, we want to have that conversation with you. There is a way forward to make this happen. And all I'm asking my colleagues to do is to allow me to represent the district who elected me, because we have an opportunity to change this down the road, which is what we're going to do, but just not today, painting it, making it MXDU, right? Which is what some folks want. I don't necessarily think it should be you, but we can have that discussion. If it is you at the end, that's great. I'm okay with that. But allow the process to take place, and that's all I'm asking with a series of votes that's occurring this evening.
So I have some questions for OPZ that I hope you can clarify. So when we talk about doing sector studies, who initiates a sector study?
Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. So a sector study is similar to a region plan. It is a master plan document, and it would be initiated by the Office of Planning and Zoning. And there would be citizen involvement. I mean, it would go through a similar process to the region plans, except for the fact there is nothing codified about a stakeholder advisory committee. We would probably do it with very specific outreach in the geographic area.
So that would be run by OPZ, but could a council member say, I would like you to do, can they request that, or be a landowner who would request that? Who would come in?
I mean, it has to fold into our work program. We have a very busy work program through at least the next year, getting the last 3 region plans finished. I wouldn't anticipate, and we've talked sector plans before in some of the other regions, I would not expect that we would be in a position to be starting anything new really until after the next election.
So,
And I also feel that, so the region plans, the first round of region plans we did took us 3 years. The second round, this has taken us 2 years. We're on like the fast track here. It is possible that a sector plan, maybe we could get it done in 18 months because we're talking about a smaller geographic area and a more focused group of stakeholders. But I would say 18 months is going to be the shortest time frame.
Yes, a typical planning process involving the public does take at least 18 months with council approval.
so, and this has come about, this is a request from Maryland Department of Transportation to make this a transportation oriented development. If we don't have this zoning for that, does that mean we will, as a county, we are not eligible to receive any, funding or whatever that could be from the state for a TOD area until and unless a sector study is done and then this zoning went through at that time?
Mark Wildonger, Office of Planning and Zoning. The state's currently working on evaluating transit lines and stations within the greater Baltimore area. As part of that analysis, they look at whether the zoning helps facilitate transit-oriented development. So this is one piece of the criteria that feeds into their analysis of where they then want to focus their resources in supporting transit-oriented development. So if it's not going to be Cromwell because it doesn't have the zoning, which is one of their criteria, they may focus on another station within the greater Baltimore area.
Okay.
Madam Chair, it's important for you because it touches on that.
Mhm.
There is no sector plan that's required for this right now. There is an amendment, but I said to the administration earlier on the phone, I would even withdraw the requirement of a sector plan. They literally, once the land owner applies, can go through the process. It doesn't even have to go through a sector plan because that language is not in this plan.
Ms. Pickard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do appreciate the notion of councilmanic courtesy, and I appreciate that Mr. Smith has been elected to represent this area. But when we actually live in our county and our communities, we don't check ourselves at borders. So I've been involved and engaged in revitalization and redevelopment along this corridor as it relates to the Glen Burnie Town Center and 7409 BNA. I've walked Cromwell with Secretary Day and others in economic development. And so when MTA and MDOT presented the need for this zoning change, I was surprised that my colleague didn't pick it up. And I knew I needed to if we were actually going to capitalize on the state's current interest, the current interest. As we all said, these things take time. And with an election coming up in 2 years' time, all this could change. But we have an opportunity now to comprehensively rezone through a public process this one piece of state property that is then surrounded by other parcels that are already getting upzoned to mixed-use U. It just makes sense. We clearly disagree here between District 1 and District 2. It just makes sense to me, and it's an opportunity that I know my community and the folks that I've been working with in revitalizing this corridor in Glen Burnie are really tired of not seeing a positive impact and seeing the continuation of vacant parcels and the vacant Wendy's on the corner and an underutilized light rail and not feeling safe because it doesn't look nice. The state has decided they are ready to work with the county and the private sector to do this, and I want to say yes, let's go. Because even rezoning this property through this process right now, we're still going to have processes and plannings with Medco and MDOT. It's not happening tomorrow. So we're just adding more and more government regulation and process is just delaying a positive impact in our communities. I'm tired. I've been doing this for 6 years, and I'm still seeing the same vacancy and the same blight. So is it another 6 years? Lynn Miller told me when I first got elected, when we were talking about the sustainable community, which this is a part of, we were looking to renew the 5-year plan for the Glen Burnie Sustainable Community, which is a state designation. And when I started talking about my vision for revitalization, she's like, that's going to take over a decade. And I was going to prove her wrong. But at this point, with this conversation we're having today, she's right. And the community has already, I'm going to get upset, the community has already waited 2 decades to see an investment from their government, from the state, from the county in this part of our community. And they're tired. So I say yes. Let's take the state up on their option. Let's do the rezoning tonight, and let's move forward so we can see a positive impact in our communities. Not for us, but maybe for our kids, because that's how long this stuff takes. And we, the 7 of us, can say yes. And we can decide not to add and not delay and not to pile on. And we can just say yes, and let's do it today. And I'm out.
Ms. Ravian.
Thank you. So I just want to add to this conversation. I strongly believe in communities having a voice in what's going on in their community. But I think that there is a constituent that we often leave out, and I am calling it the invisible constituent, because right now we are in a massive housing shortage. And if we delay an opportunity to create housing that just by its nature you could live in without having a car, because it's literally, it's transit oriented, it's right there. This is already, I mean, yes, okay, there could be very recent leases here, but everything else is MXDU. And it would be so strange to have one piece in the middle of all of that, anything but MXDU, even if those other pieces aren't going to be redeveloped anytime soon. We can't predict what the future is. If all of a sudden there's a stronger opportunity to, say, rebuild the shopping center because there's more, it's higher in value because there's more people living in that area, they might do something like that. So they might be willing to redevelop something that maybe on its surface isn't something you would look at and say, oh, that needs to be redeveloped. Maybe you would. But I really think we need to keep the sort of, I'm calling them the invisible constituents, the people that currently don't have an affordable place to live, that are couch surfing, that are, living 2 and 3 generations in a family or in a, single family home. And instead of, only thinking about it in the context of, the people that are physically there. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation because I think it's important that we keep folks that need housing in mind, even if they're not talking to us specifically about Cromwell Station.
Mr. Smith.
Ma'am, I just want to respond to some of the, I'm glad this is what the process looks like. Like when we make spaghetti, sometimes the sauce gets splattered all over, across the wall or on the stove and everything else. And so it's going to look like this. There's a reason I voted on, you saw 2 other amendments tonight that changed land, dozens of acres to MXDU. We could build on those tomorrow when this passed. The housing opportunity for this space isn't going away. All I'm saying is, with the planned land use, give it a couple of months to have that conversation with the community. When we vote tonight on the second amendment that she has that makes it MXDU, there are 5 MXDs. I had a debate on whether or not it should be U. It's going to be an MXD, and I think it should be an MXD. There is no sector plan that's required because that's an amendment I'm willing to pull back. It literally is the landowner petitioning to have it changed because the legislative intent and the policy aligns with everything we just said. But it'll at least give us a few months to have a conversations with Ferndale, who care about people coming to their neighborhoods, Glen Burnie and all these other places. They want to make sure the infrastructure is adequate. So if we're going to do the highest intensity at that area, we should be prepared for it. And it's not like we can't make it that in the next 3 to 6 months. It's not like we're putting someone on the moon. We're just having a conversation about whether or not it's MXDU or one of the other categories. And all I'm asking my colleagues and the administration is just sort of, give that a consideration. When the county executive ran in 2018, he ran because there was a lot of things going on and he wanted the community to be involved. That's why we have all of these town halls that he's had, because he loves that community engagement. So do I. Even if it adds another 2 to 3 months or 6 months to this, it's not going to take years to make that happen in my mind. And so I represent the area. The people who are there have said, can you allow us to have that conversation? And that's what I'm asking my colleagues to do. What I'm asking for is not unreasonable. It is not going to prevent the state from still having that conversation about putting mixed-use development there and having housing. Hell, we have 3 other properties right now that we changed today that are going to add 44 units per acre or density levels to those areas that they can start building tomorrow. So if we ask them for 5 months to discuss this, I don't see a problem with that. And so that's my whole argument. We're here to represent our constituents. I'm saying to you, this is what the constituents that I have been communicating with have asked me to do. I'm doing it. That's what I want to do. I believe in representative government. Those folks that are in there that are adjacent to this property who will be impacted in the Linthicum area and so on and so forth, all they're asking for is a few months to have this conversation that is not going to change anything. So please support my amendments that I have for this and my vision that I have for the area, because it is not too far from my colleague in the second district. It's not. We're not too far apart, but we should at least have a conversation. That's what democracy is.
So I have another procedural question for OPZ. So if we wouldn't need a sector plan for this, they could just go to administrative hearing officer to request a zoning change. That would have to be requested by the property owner, correct? So the state would have to go to the administrative hearing officer and ask for a zoning change. Is that correct?
Well, currently, the current code says a lot that's not designated as mixed-use planning in the general development plan or a region plan may not be administratively rezoned to a mixed-use district. Obviously, Bill 1825 is going to impact that because that's going to put the language in about the sector studies, et cetera. And so this is a plan, if 1825 passes, this would be a plan adopted between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2025. And it says if that plan recommends a sector study, plan or study for a lot designated as mixed-use planned land use, the lot may not be administratively rezoned unless the sector plan is completed and recommends a rezoning to mixed use.
So you're saying it would require a sector study to change this land use, to change this zoning?
Yes.
It would require,
Once the plan is adopted. Yes.
if the plan is amended to say it would require a sector study, then it would require a sector study to be administratively rezoned. If the plan is not amended to say it would require a sector study, then a sector study would not be required to administratively rezone it. But there are other criteria that come into play when you're looking at an administrative rezoning, and I don't think it would be done in 3 to 6 months. I think it would take, well, I'm not sure because I don't practice before the administrative hearing officer and the Board of Appeals, but it does take, I guarantee, more than 3 to 6 months to get an administrative rezoning, provided you're able to meet the legal threshold for an administrative rezoning.
And when you have a property like this, the landowner is who is going to request a zoning change. If we don't pass this, if it's mixed use, but if they want to make it mixed use, urban or whatever it may be, the landowner has to request that to the administrative hearing officer, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So that would not necessarily entail community input for what MDOT could go to administrative hearing officer on their own and request something. They wouldn't necessarily have to work with the community on that.
Correct, I believe.
A sector plan would require that community involvement, but for just a straight zoning change, MDOT could go in on their own and seek that. So, okay.
But that'll allow me to work with MDOT as they're going through that process to literally just have this conversation. That's it.
So, Ms. Robbian.
What would, if we weren't to pass amendments, let's see, for Bill 925, Amendment number 10, and for 1025, Amendment number 19, if we weren't to pass either of those, what would be the zoning? I guess it would stay the current zoning, W1, W2, and R1?
Could you please repeat the question, Ms. Rodvian?
I'm sorry. If we didn't pass, no, that's okay. We're all over the place. If we didn't pass Ms. Pickard's set of amendments with respect to this, the parcel that's sort of in the middle of all of this, in the middle of all the MXDU, either the land use or the zoning, what would the zoning be? Would it just remain as what's listed here, W1, W2, and R1? So we would be changing, so we wouldn't, presumably then we wouldn't change the land use either. Because they should match, right? You wouldn't want to have a land use that was mixed use and then zoning that was W1, W2, and R1.
Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. You can have that, and there are cases where we do have a mismatch, where the region plan has recommended mixed-use planned land use, but the zoning doesn't follow immediately. I know we had some cases in Region 2, like the Laurel Race Course, and that's why there's detailed language in the plan about what the division may be.
Okay. Ms. Pickard.
Well, I think there's still a question of if the Region 3 plan would be allowed to have a mixed-use, planned-use parcel administratively rezoned. And if it doesn't if it is just outside of those Regions 2 and 4 that we went through this a year ago, then meeting the threshold, the legal threshold to have something administratively rezoned is a whole different conversation that we're not having right now. There has to be evidence of a change or of character of the community and or a mistake. Mm-hmm. So we have an opportunity to not make a mistake. Like we're here, we're comprehensively zoning this area. So why would we leave that up to one guy, the hearing officer, deciding if we'd made a mistake?
Christina Pompa, Ms. Pompa, with the Office of Planning and Zoning. I mean, we agree with you, Ms. Pickard. The Office of Planning and Zoning does support ultimately this property being zoned MXDU, and we think the proper time to do it is now. I mean, unfortunately, there were some big applications that came in very late in the process, and this MTA application was one of them. And I think that that's very unfortunate because it hasn't allowed the time for conversation that maybe would be necessary.
Mr. Smith. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Pickard, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up because ultimately, though, in the Region 1 planning process, this property could have just been changed along with the plan. Because it wasn't, because it was left out, the hole in the donut was left out of the deliberations with the surrounding community, you've put the state, they've had to come and ask. It could have been, and we wouldn't have even probably be having this conversation because it would have been baked into the region plan and all the evidence pointing to why the Cromwell Transit-Oriented Development Feasibility Study, the state's Baltimore Core Service Area priorities, all of that would have led to we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But it was this one parcel in the middle of a sea of other parcels getting rezoned to mixed use U. It's been here, so we're here. And MDOT and MTA, not truly understanding how this works, came fortunately and realized that they needed this zoning to happen.
I agree with everything you've said. The other thing that I do want to point out about Cromwell versus any of the other light rail stations that are in the county is that Cromwell is the end of the line. It has a big surface parking lot, it has maintenance facility, whereas some of the other stations, I mean, they're much narrower, much smaller. But because this is the end of the line station, it's bigger. So what's happened here is with MTA coming in late in the process and requesting, yes, we're potentially going to miss a big opportunity for a pretty big piece of property. The other light rail stations don't have this kind of geography to them that would allow for potential redevelopment in the future.
So, Mr. Hunt, does the administration like to say anything?
Certainly, Madam Chair, we do support this, and ultimately having this site be an MXDU. I understand Councilman Smith's concerns about community engagement, and it's unfortunate that this was so late in the process. I know MTA did have some personnel changes, so they had folks come on late in the process after the SAC and PAB had reviewed this. But I am concerned that an amendment that makes it an administrative rezoning potential, I mean, there's no guarantee how the administrative hearing officer would rule one way or another. I know it was referenced earlier that you have to change your mistake requirement. And a mistake is, a change is the change in the character of the community. A mistake is a mistake that's made during the comprehensive rezoning process. And I think I would obviously defer to the Office of Law because they are actually the attorneys and I just pay my bar dues every year. But the mistake requirement is an unintentional mistake. And I would suspect that taking a vote on an amendment explicitly deciding what the zoning is on a parcel is not a mistake, but a very intentional act, and that the legislative history would support that. This is an opportunity that we, as was said earlier, we don't know how long it might be around, and I know the state is supportive of it. I believe DHCD is also supportive of it. So we are supportive of it.
Mr. Smith.
As I mentioned previously, we are putting on the record for that process that the landowner will go through what our legislative intent was. And so when the plan is changed to say we want it to be MXDU, when that individual goes through the process and say, hey, they didn't specifically designate the land piece of it, he's going to say, well, why didn't they? Well, they can go right back to this record and it explicitly pull the record and say, and we'll let them know that we hadn't determined, even though there are difference of opinions of what MXD level it should be, that hasn't been set in stone because we haven't approved Bill 9/2025 or 1025. And so we're doing that with this. And so I don't see why the zoning officer or the planning officer or anybody that's involved in that process would deny them a reclassification of zoning based off the fact that we're having this conversation. So they can come back and look at it on video and know exactly what our intent was. And so this will allow that time to take place. And so, I'm not, my view on this process may be a little different than some folks, but, I really believe because, as mentioned earlier, that pad is such a significant pad that it should go through the process. It should have the ability to have these folks weigh in on it, and I just won't feel guilty because I'm, sending my support towards the folks who put me. I just won't. And so I'm still in the same location. I think there's going to be a way forward for the state as they go through this process. But I would like to see the community involved in the decision that designates that land MXD something. That's all.
So I appreciate all parts of this discussion. This is where the sausage is getting made, and we have to have these discussions, and we're going to disagree, sometimes on the details. I am hesitant to give up the opportunity to make this a transit-oriented area. And while I know that this is, and I'm very respectful of councilmanic areas, when we talk about regional transportation hubs, they cross over the lines, even when they're there. So this is something that's impacting this whole region. And to potentially lose the opportunities that could come from additional state investment, but also to put it at the hands of an administrative hearing officer who we have no way of knowing how they would rule on this, and that's a big if to have on there. So I believe that we should act now, because I think if we don't, an administrative hearing officer could look back and say, well, it's not necessarily their intent because they voted no on it to have. So at this time, we are going to vote on amendment number 10, and this is the amendment. We've had much discussion over many things. This is the amendment that is solely about the track line itself being changed to transit. Just to clarify for everybody which one we are actually voting on right now. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 10 to bill number 925.
Ms. Fiedler.
Nay.
Ms. Rodbian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Nay.
Mr. Smith.
Nay.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Nay.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
3 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. Amendment number 10 to bill number 925 has failed.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 19 to bill number 1025.
Amendment number 19. This amendment changes the zoning of a portion of the property known as parcel 189 on tax map 9, located at 7390 Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard, Glen Burnie, from W1 Industrial Park and R1 Residential to MXDU Urban Mixed Use, a portion of the property known as parcel 189 on tax map 9, located at no number Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard, Glen Burnie, from W1 Industrial Park to MXDU Urban Mixed Use, and a portion of the property known as parcel 181 on tax map 9, located at the track area between I-97 and Dorsey Road, Linthicum Heights, from W1 Industrial Park and W2 Light Industrial to MXDU Urban Mixed Use.
Ms. Pickard.
I believe we've exhausted the conversation on this. I fully support taking the opportunity to rezone this parcel to MXDU to work with the state. Motion to adopt amendment number 19 to bill 1025.
Rodbian, second.
Any further discussion? Administration? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Rodbian.
I would just like to urge my colleagues, I know that this is not the path that you wanted, but we may not have an opportunity like the one that's before us if we wait. And I feel like this is why we're elected, is to make the decisions at the time that they are presented to us, when we can't have the extended discussions that we might like to have. If we're talking about waiting possibly 18 months until a sector study could begin, did I get that? That was the time frame that you would anticipate. I mean, I suppose it could be earlier, but that's probably the most realistic. Or if we're weighing and relying on an administrative hearing officer, and we don't have any guarantees of the outcome, especially if we vote against doing this zoning now. I think we're making it clear that this isn't a mistake, that this isn't. I would just urge my colleague to join this amendment. We don't always get these opportunities more than once.
Mr. Smith.
I'm just going to say, and I'll say it again, there is an amendment that changes this whole area, land use policy, to mixed MXD. The intent on what it is to become in the future is 100% baked into that codification. And so there is no intent to do anything else other than to make it a mixed-use development on that property. The version of the MXD is what's at hand, and having that sort of thorough discussion is all I'm simply asking for. And so I don't think this is going to add several years to this conversation. I just don't. And so there was a reason we voted on the mixed-use bill to capture those things that we didn't have an opportunity to address before we voted on them. And this bill will benefit from that pathway to make that happen. There is no sector plan. There is an amendment. I'm going to withdraw it. It doesn't even require a sector plan. But what it will do is ask the property owner to go to the county and request a change. When they go back and look at the intent of the council, we are saying it's going to be MXD. We're saying that. We're even doing it in the policy, the PLU, the plan use for it. And so we're making that determination and that designation right now tonight when we vote on one of the other amendments that are coming. So none of this is going to impact that. And so I don't think this is an opportunity that we're going to lose. If it is, I don't understand why. When certainly there are other MXDU properties that we have voted on tonight that they can start, that are also in the transportation corridors as well. Several are over there by Arundel Mills Mall. So that's a transportation corridor that they can start on today or tomorrow when we vote on this. And so I don't know why this has become so politicized. It shouldn't be that way. And it's frustrating because we put all this work into representing our communities. That's what I've done. I'm not coming here blindly telling you all, believe me. I'm telling you that Saturday and 2 weeks ago and a month ago and 3 months ago, I was in their house, the community, saying, listen, this is how I think it's going to play out. They're mad at me because it's looking like we're pushing this in there. I ain't gonna say the words I wanted to use, but that's the words they use to me. And so I don't want them to feel that way. I don't want you to feel that way. That's why they come to us. There is an opportunity for them to change this. It will happen. But there's a process that even the state has to be held to. Okay.
Ms. Pickard? Oh. Okay. Administration?
Mark Wildonger, Office Planning and Zoning. So again, I think we've made our position earlier, again, just emphasizing that this station may be ripe for state resources, capitalizes on the infrastructure that's there. And again, this transit-oriented development concept was born in Plan 2040, which was a publicly vetted document and adopted by council several years ago. That was a 3-year process. And then this region plan process was I think we started probably 2 years ago, and there was robust public input during that period, at which point we also had a stakeholder advisory committee that recommended transit-oriented development and mixed use for this site. It fills that donut hole that's been mentioned before. So we do, Office Planning and Zoning supports this amendment.
All right, Madam Secretary. Oh, Ms. Rappian.
I'm just going to ask one last time. We could be passing up state resources that we may not get again. And from what you just heard from Office of Planning and Zoning, there actually have been a lot of opportunities for public input. And so I just beg you to don't let this go by the wayside. We could be sitting here with this property looking at the same thing when we have the state ready to move. I just implore you.
Mr. Smith.
I would just ask all the planning meetings that we had in the past, they were recorded, right? We have a record of those meetings that happened in the past as far as the Plan 2040, as well as the last 2 years worth of comp rezoning. All of those engagements were recorded.
Stakeholder advisory committee meetings were recorded. We have the minutes from those. We also have summary reports from when there were draft zoning maps available for the public to review. Mm-hmm. Those are all available online.
And I would encourage anyone in the audience and anyone online or in the public to go back and look at and follow up in those meetings. You will see that when it came to this particular parcel, there was no robust discussion on this particular parcel that the community was engaged in. I implore you to go back and look at it. I think the Plan 2040 talked at the 40,000 foot level. It didn't talk at the 10,000 foot level. And so those discussions weren't necessarily had as detailed as we're having tonight. They just weren't. So.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number, where are we? Amendment number 19 to bill number 1025.
May I call the roll?
Did I not say that? Please call the roll. Thank you. Mixed up on what I jumped ahead. Please call the roll on amendment number 19 to bill number 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Nay.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Nay.
Mr. Smith.
Nay.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Nay.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
3 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. Amendment number 19 to bill number 1025 has failed.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 11 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 11 to Bill 925. This amendment changes the planned land use from industrial to mixed use for the property known as Lot 5 of Parcel 272 on Tax Map 3 located at 7200 Corporate Center Drive, Hanover.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
This is just another policy change that allows additional mixed-use parcels within the area. This is obviously located in Hanover. Motion to adopt.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Administration?
Mark Wildonger, Office of Planning and Zoning. This parcel contains the parking lot that supports the MDOT offices across the street. The amendment corrects a mistake in mapping to the change in planned land use from industrial to mixed use for the entire property. Office of Planning and Zoning supports the amendment.
All right. No further comment. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 11 to bill number 925.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 11 to bill number 925 has been adopted. We need this one.
Okay.
Yes.
Just
Thank
checking. All right. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 12 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 12. This technical amendment deletes the planned land use changes for PLU R1 HAN 0501A to comport with the passage of amendments for PLU R1 HAN 0603 and PLU R1 HAN 0701.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment. Number 12.
On this particular, got me all in my feelings.
Mark Wildonger, Office of Planning and Zoning. So again, is given the complexity of some of the planned land use changes that were applied for during the Planning Advisory Board phase that have now been coming in sort of piecemeal through the amendment phase, this just kind of corrects the table within the plan.
Motion to adopt.
Any discussion? Administration?
Office of Planning and supports the amendment.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 12 to bill number bill 925.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 12 to bill number 925 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 13 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 13. This amendment adds a sector plan to the implementation matrix of the Anne Arundel County Region 1 plan related to environmental impacts and improvements of scenic roads in the area to include River Road and Furnace Road.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
Now, this particular sector plan is a different location. This is just north of West North Street Road, off of River Road and Furnace Road. And in that area, it's there is some industrial use in there, but there's also a large sort of open space, I guess, buffer that's on the northern side of that. I mean, I don't know if it's open space, but it's the Patapsco river that's in there. And so after meeting with the community, I think over the last few weeks, and I was even with them this past weekend on Saturday, and the whole community showed up. And all they wanted to do was make sure that the Patapsco River that's in there, the development that is occurring, isn't impacting those environmental spaces. And so one of the solutions that we had got to was this. I was saying, hey, well, what we could do is a sector plan for that specific area so that we can make sure that whenever we do increase and add these additional uses in that space, that the environment that's up there is being considered, because it is a sensitive area. And so that's why it was introduced. Motion to adopt.
Any discussion? Administration?
Mark Wildonger, Office of Planning and Zoning. Given that this area might be transitioning from residential to industrial, sector plan does make sense, and Office of Planning and Zoning supports the amendment.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 13 to bill number 925.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 13 to bill number 925 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 14 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 14. This amendment adds the requirement to develop a sector plan in the Cromwell Light Rail Station in the redevelopment and transit-oriented opportunities sites section of the Region 1 plan.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
Cromwell Light Station.
Amendment number 14 is withdrawn. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 15 to bill number 925.
Amendment number 15. This amendment changes the planned land use for a portion of the property known as parcel 181 on tax map 9, located at the track area between I-97 and Dorsey Road, Linthicum Heights, from mixed-use transit and conservation to mixed use, and changes the planned land use for the properties known as parcels 189 and 697 on tax map 9, located at 7390 and no number Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard, Linthicum Heights, and no number Dorsey Road, Glen Burnie, from transit to mixed use.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
I think we debated this. This is the amendment that we were discussing earlier. This takes that entire undeveloped land that exists there now, and from a policy standpoint, ensures that the mapping it aligns with the verbiage that's actually the language that's actually in the plan in Bill 925 itself. And so there was discussion as we were going through this that this was omitted, and there was a discrepancy between whether or not the map would reign supreme or if the language would reign supreme. So this codifies and lets anyone who is looking for legislative intent know that it is our intent, it is my intent, that this space be used for a mixed-use development in the future, and it codifies that within the plan so that it's there to be deliberated for many years to come. And so, motion to adopt.
Any discussion? Administration.
Mark Wildonger with the Office of Planning and Zoning. For consistency with the intended zoning for this site, the Office of Planning and Zoning supports the amendment.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 15 to bill number 925.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 15 to bill number 925 has been adopted.
Bills number 925 as amended and 1025 as amended will be heard again on May 5th, 2025. We're going to, I'd like to take like a 10-minute recess. Do we need to vote on that? Yes. No, we don't have to vote on that. Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. So. All right. Ms. Schultz, how do I do this?
We will read back in bill number 1025 and then proceed with the amendment that I just passed to everyone.
Okay. So.
Bill number.
I was just going to say, Madam Secretary, please read read back in bill number 1025.
Bill number 1025, an ordinance concerning comprehensive zoning Region 1.
All right. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 20 to bill number 1025.
Amendment number 20. This amendment changes the zoning of the property known as Lot 1A of parcel 675 on tax map 4, located at 7048 Aviation Boulevard, Glen Burnie, from C1 local commercial to C4 highway commercial.
Mr. Smith, this is your amendment.
Planning and zoning. So I think because we had so many amendments that were happening over the last couple of months, this was one that kind of we had initially, I think like 2 months ago, or maybe even a month ago, had talked about maybe just leaving it C1, and then that decision was changed. I'm not sure where that lost in the translation took place when we had all this process. This was off of Aviation Boulevard, the C1 property we talked about that they had, I guess they've come here a couple times and already testified in reference to this. Do you recall those conversations?
Mark Willunger, Office Planning and Zoning. From what I remember, the recommended zoning was C1, and the understanding was to keep C1 throughout this process.
How do we, is it too late to change this to C4?
Mark Willunger's Office Planning and Zoning. So again, is the property owner did come in with an application earlier on in the process, and now with this request, they would not be required to have a sign. So
correct. So I will still move forward with this amendment and motion to adopt.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion?
I do want to point out, it was the gentleman that was here earlier when he asked everyone to raise their hand. This was his property that was in discussion. It's right outside the gate of the BWI runway off of Aviation Boulevard. And I think just over the last 2 months, it's just been so many amendments coming in and out. This one kind of got lost in that sauce. So I do apologize for that, planning and zoning, because they've done really well at keeping track of everything. So this is, I don't think it's on you, a reflection of you. It's certainly just all the chaos that's been going on. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Administration.
Mark Willunger, Office Planning and Zoning. The Office Planning and Zoning initially recommended this as C4 during the preliminary draft zoning. That was an opportunity to receive public feedback. During that time, we did hear overwhelmingly from that community in Ferndale Aviation Boulevard intersection that they did not want to see any upzoning in this area. It's currently zoned small business. So taking into consideration the property owner's wishes as well as then the neighboring community's wishes, the compromise was C1, and that's the zoning recommendation before you this evening. The Office Planning and Zoning does not object to this amendment.
So this is changing it from C1 to C4?
It's currently small business. The adopted zoning is small business. The recommendation is C1, and the amendment takes it to C4.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just to reiterate, I actually did go back to the community after that, which is why you saw some of those groups showing up, or that group showing up here early today. So we went to that neighborhood and to Ferndale to bring this up as well. And so there seemed to be much the support and what they intended to do with the property. I think sort of moved some of them towards this direction, because the young man that his dad is passing the business to, he's locked into this community. He wants to invest in it. He's certainly the type of business owner that we want to help as much as possible. So I do apologize that there was a translation error there, but thank you.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 20 to Bill 1025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 20 to Bill number 1025 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 1325 as amended.
Bill number 1325, an ordinance concerning zoning, commercial and industrial commercial and industrial districts, uses animal hospitals and veterinary clinics.
Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've discussed this legislation at several of our meetings. The short summary of the bill, even though there's been lots of shuffling, is that it allows a conditional use for non-medical overnight stays at veterinary clinics or animal hospitals in C2, C3, and C4. And I ask for my colleagues' support at the appropriate time.
Is there any discussion? Administration?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Lynn Miller, our Assistant Planning and Zoning Officer, and Lori Blair Klossmeyer, Deputy County Attorney. We're happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any discussion? We will now open the public hearing on Bill number 1325 as amended. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Okay, no one signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on Bill number 1325? Okay. The public hearing on Bill number 1325 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 1325 as amended.
Bill number 1325, an ordinance concerning zoning, commercial and industrial districts, uses, animal hospitals, and veterinary clinics.
Any further questions? Further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 1325 as amended.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 1325 has passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 1425 as amended.
Bill number 1425, an ordinance concerning subdivision and development, archaeological resources.
What was that? Okay. I know. Mr. Volkey, this is your bill.
Ms. Pickard's taking credit for it. I think the county executive thinks it's her bill. With that, I just want to applaud the Office of Planning and Zoning, who has moved a long way in getting to the ultimate compromise amendments that we are going to be voting on this evening. They worked very closely with some of the stakeholders to get to this place. They had a detailed meeting last week, I want to say, and they were able to get to the grand compromise that had thus far proved elusive, but has now been reached. So with that, I'm looking forward to getting these amendments passed, getting this bill in final form, and then hopefully voting on it at our next meeting.
Administration.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Christina Pompa, our Deputy Planning and Zoning Officer, Darian Beverungen, our Acting Planning Administrator for Cultural Resources, and Lori Blair Klossmeyer, our Deputy County Attorney. I would echo what Mr. Volkey said. There are two amendments that we can discuss at the appropriate time, but there was a lot of work and collaboration and back and forth that went into developing these amendments that get this bill to a point that everyone is comfortable with. So we're happy to answer any questions.
All right. Is there any discussion? Okay. We will now open the public hearing on Bill number 1425 as amended. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Okay. No one signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on Bill number 1425? Okay. The public hearing on Bill number 1425 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 1425 as amended.
Bill number 1425, an ordinance concerning subdivision and development, archaeological resources.
Madam Secretary, please read Amendment number 3.
Amendment number 3. This amendment adds a definition of significant archaeological resource.
Okay. Administration.
Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. As indicated, this does add a definition of a significant archaeological resource. Basically, what we've done here is identified several criteria. The first is that something would either need to be eligible for the National Register of Historic Places, or if it was considered locally significant and it had viable research potential. So that is the First Amendment of the two. And I can answer any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions? All right. May I have a motion to adopt?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Ms. Pickard?
Oh, no.
No. Okay. Administration? So, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Amendment number 3.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 3 has been adopted.
All right. Madam Secretary, please read Amendment number 4.
Amendment number 4. This amendment creates criteria for approval of a Phase 3 data recovery plan, modifies the procedure for moving forward to a Phase 3 data recovery plan, permits representatives from the Office of Planning and Zoning to be present during any Phase 3 data recovery work, and requires certain artifacts to be stored in an acceptable repository and be made available to the public.
Administration?
Christina Pompa with the Office of Planning and Zoning. So you may recall that when all of the discussion started on this bill, we had a section in the code that had 2 lines in it. This is now the real meat of that 2 lines. It has become many, many lines, and it creates a process for an applicant who really wants to get to a Phase 3 data recovery plan to be able to do one. Now, not many of them have happened over the years. I would suggest that it's more because they are expensive. But now, if somebody has the means to do a phase 3, they probably can do it. And that's our compromise.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt? Okay. Any discussion? Anything further from the administration? Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 4.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 4 has been adopted.
Okay, so bill number 1425 as amended will be heard on May 5th, 2025. Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 1625 as amended.
Bill number 1625, an ordinance concerning zoning, requirements for special exception uses, assisted living facilities, community piers, and launching ramps.
Ms. Fiedler, this is your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've discussed this legislation at previous meetings. Essentially, the bill adjusts some bulk regulations for certain properties of certain size for assisted living facilities and allows for slight disturbance of buffer for a pier if it is ADA accessibility, and ask for your support at the appropriate time.
Administration?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me, I have Lynn Miller, our Assistant Planning and Zoning Officer, and Lori Blair Klossmeyer, our Deputy County Attorney. We're happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, we will now open the public hearing on bill number 1625 as amended. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Okay, no one signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on bill number 1625? Okay, seeing no movement, the public hearing on bill number 1625 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 1625 as amended.
Bill number 1625, an ordinance concerning zoning requirements for special exception uses, assisted living facilities, community piers, and launching ramps.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on bill number 1625 as amended.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 1625 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 1825 as amended.
Bill number 1825, an ordinance concerning boards, commissions, and similar bodies, Board of Appeals, zoning, administrative hearings, mixed-use districts.
Administration?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. I have Lori Blair Klossmeyer, Deputy County Attorney, and Lynn Miller, Assistant Planning and Zoning Officer. This bill amends Articles 3 and 18 as they relate to the rezoning of mixed-use properties in light of Bill 7524 that passed last year. Requires that any lot designated as a mixed-use planned land use in a region plan adopted between May 6, 2024 and the end of last year, which is Region Plans 2, 4, and 7, may not be administratively rezoned to mixed use unless a sector study or plan for that lot has been completed and recommends rezoning to a mixed-use district. It also requires that if a region plan adopted between January of this year and December of next year, which is the remaining 2/3 of the county, recommends a sector study or plan, a sector plan or study for a lot designated as a mixed-use planned land use, lot cannot be administratively rezoned to mixed use unless the sector plan or study is completed and recommends rezoning to a mixed use district. This bill was amended at the prior meeting. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions, discussion? Okay, we will now open the public hearing on bill number 1825 as amended. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Okay, no one signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on bill number 1825? Okay, seeing no one, the public hearing on bill number 1825 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 1825 as amended.
Bill number 1825, an ordinance concerning boards, commissions, and similar bodies, Board of Appeals, zoning, administrative hearings, mixed-use districts.
Okay, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on bill number 1825 as amended.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 1825 has passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 2325 as amended.
Bill number 2325, an ordinance concerning boards, commissions, and similar bodies, Youth Advisory Council, membership.
Administration?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. I have Lori Blair Klossmeyer, Deputy County Attorney, with me. This bill, as originally introduced, made some changes to the way the Youth Advisory Council was composed and changed the term limits as amended. It allows the members to be reappointed for a second term without having to submit an application. We're happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any further discussion? We'll now open the public hearing on Bill number 2325 as amended. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
No one signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on Bill number 2325? So seeing no movement, the public hearing on Bill number 2325 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 2325 as amended.
Bill number 2325, an ordinance concerning boards, commissions, and similar bodies' Youth Advisory Council membership.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 2325 as amended.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 2325 has passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 2425 as amended.
Bill number 2425, an ordinance concerning zoning regional commercial complexes.
Mr. Smith, this is your bill.
Administration for the last few weeks, and I want to thank Ms. Miller for coming up with some amazing language that will be discussed here with the operator of the casino as well as the mall management here in the coming weeks. In light of that, we will need some time to do that, and so we're going to ask for a delay in voting on this bill. So that's it. Motion to hold bill. Oh, I'm sorry. Retract the motion. Yeah.
So what's the next step?
We hold a public hearing first.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and hold the public hearing then. We will now open the public hearing on Bill number 2425 as amended. Is there, Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
No one signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on Bill number 2425? Seeing no movement, the public hearing on Bill number 2425 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 2425 as amended.
Bill number 2425, an ordinance concerning zoning regional commercial complexes.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
425 till our May 5th meeting.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to hold Bill number 2425 as amended until May 5th, 2025. Madam Secretary, please call the roll to hold Bill 2425 as amended until May 5th, 2025.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter is absent. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The motion to hold Bill number 2425 as amended until May 5th has passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 2525.
Bill number 2525, an ordinance concerning branches of county government, executive branch, public safety, Department of Animal Services, boards, commissions, and similar bodies, Animal Welfare Council, personnel, exempt service, public ethics, financial disclosure, Director of Animal Services.
Administration.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Hannah Dyer, our Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, Claudia Roll, our Administrator for Animal Care and Control, and Lori Blair Klossmeyer, our Deputy County Attorney. And I know there are several folks in the audience who have been waiting very patiently to testify on this bill, but we discussed this bill at the work session last week. I'll be very concise. This bill separates out animal care and control from the police department and makes it its own standalone department. Transfer of positions of current employees would be completed with the annual budget ordinance to be introduced on May 1st. I know we have all had some discussions about some of the other policies and procedures in Article 4 that are part of a larger conversation. And I think this bill is, Hannah correctly characterized as getting our house in order and getting the department established, and then we will come back and look at those bigger policy issues and have a more robust conversation about that. But for now, this bill simply creates the department as a standalone department. If anyone else wants to add any additional comments, by all means.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? Okay, we will now open the public hearing on Bill number 2525. And I want to thank all of our animal people. Y'all are so patient, and you've stayed a long time, and you sat through some really technical and rather boring land use stuff. So we appreciate you and your dedication. So, Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Okay, we will now call on individuals who signed up ahead of the meeting. When I call your name, please come up to the table and have a seat. When it's your turn, state your name and address for the record. Remarks will be limited to 2 minutes. Please listen for the buzzer and respect the 2-minute time limit as others are signed up to speak. If you have more than 2 minutes to share, I'm going to ask you to submit your additional thoughts as early as tomorrow using our online testimony tool. And signed up ahead of time, we have Linda Mazer, Justin Scally, and Jennifer Brienza. And if there's anyone else here who wishes to speak on Bill 2525, you may come up as well. All right. It doesn't matter. We'll get to everybody. Yeah. So, Ms. Mazer.
Good evening. Linda Mazer, 752 Dividing Creek Road, Arnold, Maryland. I'm Linda Mazer. I'm the chair of the Animal Welfare Council, and we are here tonight to give strong support for Bill number 2525, which will create the Department of Animal Services as a standalone county department. Several months ago, the Animal Welfare Council was asked by the county executive staff to review and give input on several restructuring models for animal care and control. Our members thoroughly discussed this information and came to the unanimous decision that the standalone department was the best option. There are several reasons for this decision. Currently, animal care and control is under the police department. The mission statements from each entity do not align exactly, which can make it challenging. Even though animal care and control and the police department will always need to work very closely together, this fundamental misalignment would be alleviated with the Department of Animal Services is created. In addition, the Department of Animal Services would be able to directly present and advocate for their own budget and department needs, set their own policies, and network with other departments. Existing union staff members would also be able to continue in their present capacity. As a standalone department, Animal Services should also be able to function more effectively and efficiently. For example, there are many layers in the chain of command under the police department that you need to go through to obtain the approval to apply for a grant. It is my understanding that in the past, this process took so long to get the approval that the deadline to apply for the grant had passed, and therefore Animal Care and Control was unable to apply for grants at times. As a standalone department, Animal Services should be able to function quickly enough to be able to apply for grants on time. Lastly, we are pleased to see that the Bill 2525 would also codify the Animal Welfare Council into the legislative code. This was included at our request. I urge you to support the bill.
Thank you. Mr. Scally?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the council. Justin Scally. I reside at 201 Fox Tree Drive, and that's in Glen Burnie, 21061. I appreciate the opportunity to talk this evening. As previously stated, I am a county resident. I also worked for animal control here in the county from 2004 to 2007. I've been a local government department head in a few other jurisdictions, including a large metropolitan area. I also was a senior leader of an animal welfare organization and did work nationally. I currently work in private business, but I do serve on the board of the Maryland Animal Cruelty and Fighting Task Force. Back in 2011, I had the pleasure of co-chairing a committee that actually looked at a few things that were going on with regards to like structure and other opportunities for animal control for the then county executive. And ironically, 14 years ago, we had this very discussion about where should animal control be positioned within the structure of the government. One of our recommendations at that time was to make animal control a standalone department. Unfortunately, the decision was made based on fiscal impact to proceed with re-civilianizing the leadership, at least at that point in time, and then worked on a few other things at that point. Having a national perspective and serving as a local government department head myself over animal services agencies in other parts of the country, I can emphatically say that I believe that this is the best way to go. I think this is the best practice. I had discussions with members of the administration when I had heard that there was some separation of duties where they were parsing out certain parts and breaking things up. And it's not the best model. And so I'm happy to hear that this has been put forth. In fact, the National Animal Care and Control Association also fully supports integrating animal control and sheltering under one unified command, allowing for efficiency. So I support this bill in its entirety, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Jennifer Brianza. Ms. Brianza.
Jennifer Brianza, 717 Baylor Road, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061. I'm also the chair of the Animal Matters Commission, and the Animal Matters Commission unanimously supports the sections in this bill, 124201 through 124206, which directly impact our commission. And the commission is not taking a position on the remainder of the bill.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sir?
My name is Zach Reed. I'm the Vice President of ASME Local 582. I reside at 143 Greenland Beach Road, Greenland Beach, Maryland, 21226. And I'm in support of the legislation.
I like it. Straight and to the point. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ms. Weinstein.
Yes, hi. I'm Chris Weinstein, 216 Long Point Road, Crownsville. I am the president of what is currently called Friends of Anne Arundel County Animal Care and Control, the 10-year-old nonprofit created by shelter volunteers to help the county's homeless pets. Our board unanimously and strongly supports the passage of Bill 2525, creating a new Department of Animal Services. We have no issues with its contents and believe the changes it makes to current practices will be helpful. We also endorse codifying the Animal Welfare Council to ensure its long-term viability. This legislation creates a friendly divorce between the shelter and the police department. We want to underscore our gratitude for the many times police officers have brought stray animals into the shelter during hours when there's no shelter staff there. And we certainly hope the cooperation between what will now be two departments will continue. We also encourage the council to be as generous as possible when it considers the staffing and funding of the new Animal Services Department as part of the upcoming fiscal year budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Sherry Osmond Nurm. I am the consultant for Union 582. I also was an employee for Anne Arundel County Animal Control from 1997 till I retired in March of 2021. And I'm here for 582 to support this bill.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you all. So, is there anyone else here who wishes to speak on 2525? Okay. The public hearing on Bill number 2525 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 2525.
Bill number 2525, an ordinance concerning branches of county government, executive branch, public safety, Department of Animal Services, boards, commissions, and similar bodies, Animal Welfare Council, personnel, exempt service, public ethics, financial disclosure, Director of Animal Services.
Okay. There are 3 amendments, and I do want to say one thing before, and one thing we had asked at the work session to make clear, we wanted to make sure that if there is a switch to a separate department, that all of the union positions would remain as union, and that has been verified, and so we do appreciate the union representation coming out and speaking for that as well. So there are 3 amendments. Madam Secretary, please read the title of amendment number 1.
Amendment number 1. This amendment adds a new section to the bill and to change the reference from agency to department and corrects various references to the department.
So this is my amendment. This is just this is a big bill, and everywhere that it said agency has to be switched to department, and we just missed one. And so we need to correct that a bit. So do I have a motion to adopt? Do I have a second? Second. Okay. Any discussion? Administration?
We oppose typos and support this amendment.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 1.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 1 has been adopted.
All right. Madam Secretary, please read the title of amendment number 2.
Amendment number 2. This amendment changes references to destroy or destruction to humanely euthanize.
Okay, again, this is my amendment, and once again, it's just to update some of our language rather than saying that we will destroy or destruction of an animal. We will change that to humanely euthanize. Is there any discussion on this? Oh, no, may I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and administration?
We support this amendment, and I'm not sure if the experts want to add anything, but
Big support.
Great. Glad to hear it. Any further discussion? All right, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 2.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 2 has been adopted.
Okay, Madam Secretary, please read the title of amendment number 3.
Amendment number 3. This amendment clarifies that federally regulated research facilities are exempt from commercial kennel licenses.
Okay, again, this is my amendment. This is kind of a technical one, but we had the current language says any federally regulated entity would fall under that. We actually want it to only be federally regulated research facilities that would have. So just to clarify that it's narrowed because some other commercial breeding facilities had also have some federal requirements, and they were not meant to be exempt under this. So do I have a motion to adopt? Motion to adopt. A second?
Second.
All right, administration?
support.
Support, okay. Any further discussion? Okay, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 3.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 3 has been adopted.
Okay, bill number 2525 as amended will be heard on May 5th, 2025. And again, we thank you all for sticking out for tonight. Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 2626. 2625, sorry, I'm jumping ahead a year.
Bill number 2625, an ordinance concerning subdivision and development, public charter schools.
Mr. Smith, this is your bill.
For public charter entities, so I think private schools with your amendment here previously potentially was added to that, and so I think there's a potential amendment that's coming up. Is that correct? And other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, administration.
Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me, I have Lynn Miller, our Assistant Planning and Zoning Officer, and Lori Blair Klossmeyer, our Deputy County Attorney, are happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, we will now open the public hearing on bill number 2625. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Okay, no one signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on bill number 2625? Seeing no movement from the audience, the public hearing on bill number 2625 is now closed. Okay, there is one amendment. Madam Secretary, please read the title of amendment number 1.
Amendment number 1. This amendment extends the exception to property for use as a public charter school and not owned or leased and developed by the public charter school.
Okay. Mr. Smith? Okay. Administration?
Support.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt? Okay. Is there any discussion? All right. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 1.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volkey.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 1 has been adopted.
Okay. Bill number 2625 as amended will be heard on May 5th, 2025. Madam Secretary, please read the title of resolution number 1225.
Resolution number 1225, resolution selecting SC and H Group, an independent firm of certified public accountants to perform the financial audit for fiscal year 2025.
Okay, that pretty much sums up exactly what it is. We each year have an outside audit firm come in, and this is just approving the firm that has been chosen to do the audit. So we will now open the public hearing on resolution number 1225. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Okay, no one signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on resolution number 1225? Seeing no movement from the public hearing on resolution number 1225 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of resolution number 1225 as amended.
Resolution number 1225, resolution selecting SC&H Group, an independent firm of certified public accountants to perform the financial audit for fiscal year 2025.
I think I read as amended, but I don't believe it was amended. It's just straight. But all right, is there any discussion? Please call the roll on resolution number 1225.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodbian.
Aye.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
And Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Resolution number 1225 has been adopted.
Is there any other business any council member would like to bring before the county council at this time? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Opposed? No, I'm just kidding. No. The motion carries. The county council is adjourned until Thursday, May 1st, 2025 at 11 a.m. when we will convene to kick off our budget season with the county executive's budget address here in our chambers. Yeah.